Great, thank you. 7 o'clock, and welcome everybody to Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 Select Board meeting. 7 o'clock, we have community input. At 7:05, appointments and resignations. 7:15, we'll be discussing the fiscal 25 budget and town meeting. 9:25, the town administrator's report. At 9:30, minutes and warrants. 9:35, liaison reports. 9:45, community input. And then hopefully by 10, we'll have adjourned. Okay. Is there anybody in the room who would like to offer community input? I'm going to remind everybody you are limited to 1 minute. And if you have more than what can fit in a minute, you may write those remarks down, and they would be included in our next packet at this point. And we do ask people to identify themselves when speaking. Anybody in the room? No? Anybody online? No hands up?
John just joined, so.
Seeing none.
You have 5 minutes.
Well, I know, but we can do other things. Okay. John, are you here to give any input tonight? Okay. All right. Appointments and resignations.
You want me to move the appointment?
Yes, please.
Okay. I move to appoint Alana Lynch to the position of Municipal Assistant for the Historical Commission, pending successful salary negotiations and required hiring administration, with an anticipated start date of April 10th, 2024. That's tomorrow.
Okay. Is there a second?
Okay.
Go ahead. So Nathan seconded that for the minutes. Ryan, want to say a word or two?
Sure. So we had a shared position. I don't need to lean forward anymore. Let's just have it. We had a shared position with the CPC, the MFC, and the
HISCOM.
Historical Commission, which we're appointing right now. The difficulty with that was the majority of that person's time was tied up in minutes and other issues. So we're trying to tease that position apart and assign it in a way that makes sense. So there's current discussions to bring before you a proposal to move the transfer station stickers back to a public, a more public approach, which is the police station through the dispatch. And then the MFC, we solved that, as you know, through the budget process by creating a position inside the facilities department. And then this position is the last piece. So we would like to have a part-time employee 10 hours a week. And we happen to have a very talented employee here, Alana, who is working 25 hours a week with the town clerk. So she, after many discussions, agreed that it would be a good fit. And we also worked with Peggy to make sure that the assistant town clerk position took priority. So HISCOM work will not happen during assistant town clerk hours. It'll happen on Friday evenings, nights, and make sure there's meeting coverage and the like. So we feel pretty comfortable with the arrangement and very thrilled that Alana agreed to do this.
Excellent. Thank you. Any further questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That was unanimous.
What about?
You have to get David or
We'll probably have to do a.
roll call vote?
Sorry, I didn't even,
John
David.
Lavery is asking, is the audio on?
We're muted. Can everyone online hear us?
Mark says
All
yeah.
right. Okay.
Now, okay. We'll take this vote. Yes, it should be a roll call vote. So, David, were you able to hear the discussion for the appointment of Alana Lynch to the position of municipal assistant? I'm not sure he's with us.
Okay, quick summary. In the room, we were talking about appointing Alana Lynch, who's our current assistant town clerk, very, very talented.
Well, I don't think he can still hear us, is the problem.
No.
Well, the rest of the folks can.
To the
sorry.
Historical Commission for 10 hours a week in order to fill that position.
Okay. So David, are you with us?
Yep,
Okay,
I hear you. I'm driving. I couldn't,
okay, so it's a
Adjust
roll
my
call
volume.
vote. Why don't you, do you vote yay or nay?
yay.
Okay. Nathan?
Aye. Snell, aye.
Arnold, I.
Reed, aye. Okay, so that is unanimous. Great. If people could not hear us before, I'm going to open it back up for 5 minutes for community input. Did you all? Sorry? Yeah, and I'm going to remind everybody is for time limit is 1 minute per person. Is there anybody online who had something to offer?
Not me, maybe at the end.
You gotta turn the volume up. You're good.
John, are you?
Oh, I just said no. I saw you looking at me, so I just said no, maybe.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay.
Where is he?
All right, so
Care
moving,
about you, John.
Yeah, I just wanna
You're
be
in our
sure.
thoughts.
moving along in that case, Galligan letter of resignation. We've had a letter of resignation from Catherine Galligan, who has served long on the Board of Health. That's to be acknowledged. Thank her for her service.
I would like to thank her for her service.
I think, Catherine has been on the Board of Health for quite some time. And has been very actively involved in town. She's going to be missed in that role.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Can, Madam Chair,
Yes.
could Ryan, there was some lack of clarity, but just maybe Ryan can bring us up to speed. It's for the Board of Health to propose an appointment, but for the remaining year, but the two boards, our board and their board, need to agree on such. Is that accurate?
Well, we make the appointment. When it's, yeah.
Okay,
So the position,
maybe.
the vacancy should be average. So this resignation is for May 31st to fill a term that expires in 2025. So it doesn't expire until next town election. So by statute, this position is then advertised and a appointment is made by the remaining members of the board in question, the appointing board, which is the Board of Health and the Select Board. So it'll be a joint meeting with those two bodies with a full 9-person vote.
Right. Isn't that kind of what I said?
I don't know, but anyway,
Well,
everybody now knows what the
not to-
rules are.
Not to, you said that they appoint and then, or they recommend and appoint. It's just an open, who wants to do it.
Okay. All right. We're going to be going right to the budget in town meeting. And we're starting with the police station renovation update. And it's a joint meeting with, it says, the design,
Police Station Building Renovation Committee,
thank you, police station renovation building,
the SBRC.
SBRC. Okay. Would you like to open your meeting? Oh, there you are.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we did.
We got it.
We got it.
Nobody elucidated.
Yeah.
Yes,
Ryan
actually,
did.
Ryan
You didn't
did.
hear him?
Okay.
Yeah, he said it's
It's a joint meeting.
it's advertised and then eventually both boards together vote on it in a joint meeting.
And I think this, by Zoom is Dave Dutcher, we've got.
There's Dave.
So that means we've got a quorum, right? And we have, should I summarize what we've been doing? Is that, or?
Yeah, so the select board would like an update on where the building renovation is, and specifically any additional, I mean, they can speak for themselves, but any additional costs or project updates they should be aware of. They are recommending the article tonight.
We've been meeting since February, and with Justin Humphreys from TVA Architects and his team from BLW Engineers. There have been at least one meeting with the Board of Health. I believe that Justin's team is on the agenda for Historical Commission, working on Planning Board and zoning, and there's already been a extension of the order of conditions from the Conservation Commission. So I'm guessing by the May town meeting, we will not have all those approvals in place, but I think that it will, I don't see that as a major roadblock. I think that's just an ongoing conversation and making sure people have the right amount of information. But the critical thing is scope and budget. I know in December there was a cost estimate of 2.919 million, I believe. Since then, meeting with Chief Amendola, there've been a few minor programmatic changes, particularly with regards to security. But any of the cost implications really are related to looking at making at the HVAC system and getting rid of fossil fuels. So right now, gas serves one of the air handler units, I believe, and the hot water, domestic hot water. And that air handler unit was considered sort of basically beyond life. And so the idea of moving the gas meter just to have a gas domestic hot water heater is probably not financially the right thing to do, and we're trying to make the renovations as environmentally responsible as possible. So when you saw in the mosquito we're going all electric, that is the goal. It would be more air source heat pumps on the exterior and hot water heat pump, domestic hot water. That is a minor change, and we think there are some cost implications of that, but not major, because there was still a lot of work in the building. There was still new HVAC in the building. There's just one air handler that's being replaced, but that had to be repaired anyway. So there was some cost. So taking into consideration that and the electric service, we will provide for 2 parking, electric charging stations, and that has a small cost implication too. So we think, after talking to Justin, we will not have a final cost estimate for another 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks or so. However, talking to Justin and his team, we feel that a responsible estimate right now is 3.1 million for the work to make the police station accreditable, safe, with the new community room, and to repair and replace aging HVAC and plumbing systems. So Alan, have I missed anything? Or Dave?
Along with the master plan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Making it green.
Yes. Yeah. So it will be a greener building. I mean, and I know Dave particularly might be looking into rebates for both the mechanical system, and the town can then look into, we'll just install some empty conduit from the panel. The town can look into future solar. And I know one question we were going to ask Historical Commission, well, they are, when we say we, the team, we already talked to Colby. Is it Colby? No, I forget. Someone from Historical Commission, whether they would have any comment on south-facing photovoltaic panels, and I don't think that's an issue for them.
I thought by state statute they had no jurisdiction over solar.
Okay. Well, in any case, it's not something that's part of this, thank you, part of this project, but it's something that the town can consider. But the backbone should be there for it, and we think structurally the roof is not, will be able to support it.
And the application coming up for the Environmental Sustainability Committee for the new designation of the town as a community, a sustainable community, will be enhanced by this renovation as well, because it will be going all electric.
And so you would not move the gas meter because you wouldn't need a gas meter? Is
We'd
that
get rid of it. It would be.
what is the generator operating on? Not gas?
Diesel.
Gee,
Diesel, yeah.
I wonder why they did that. In certain respects, but okay.
When they replaced the diesel engine generator, it was because the cost to provide a larger pipe, if you will, to it from the street, because it needed a lot more cubic
Ah.
feet.
Okay,
So
that's why we did
went
it.
with diesel.
Okay, great. All right, so we really won't miss that gas in there. Okay. Anybody have questions? Other? Yes?
Yeah, so,
Looking at you.
looking at, number 7 here, which is I'm looking at the TBA report.
Ryan, would you mind putting that up on the screen,
I'm on it.
if possible? Thank you.
It's saying here that we're not doing the light renovation, in some of the work, some of the offices, I agree, it's just discreet and everything. Are there other things that were in the original proposal other than that are not going to be happening in this? That aren't going out?
It's up on the screen if you want to see it, Suzanne.
So you're talking about number 7?
Yeah,
Okay. Finish this.
that was just an example. That was just the thing that I noticed that we're being told this isn't going to be in there, but you were told about it before. I didn't see any others. Is there anything else that we thought we were going to get that we're not going to get?
No, we haven't, certainly nothing major. I mean, we haven't discussed anything that's getting removed. We have to reduce the number of lockers, but from 27 to 21, but apart from that, I don't know of any
There was a,
changes.
part of the original plan was to increase the number of lockers in the women's locker room. Turns out that because the capacity of the septic system, the flow rates are limited, are affected by the number of lockers. Turns out we'll reduce the number of lockers so we can meet that without having to change the septic system.
It's either bedrooms or lockers?
Exactly, yeah.
So it's not related to the amount of people you have in the building at any one time particularly, so.
Okay.
And you can't just use hooks instead of lockers?
We did talk
Yeah,
about
you,
that.
yeah, you can, or you can double the size of the
Yeah,
locker,
it
or
could
you
be
can just
one
count
each.
lockers.
And they can share, and people can share them. I mean, it's just such a stupid rule.
It is.
So the
We-
other question I had was, it says that, windows on the second floor, it says it has to go before the historic commission. Did the heat pumps already go to the historic, if we're adding heat pumps,
I don't think that,
there's no
well, there is an
condenser
exterior
outside?
condenser, but there was going to be,
Right, they're all outside, there's 4 or 5 of them on the side of the building where the easement is. So it won't be that visible from the road, I believe, but I think it's a good point that we should make sure we mention that to the historical commission, so that they.
Yeah, because if it's visible from the road,
Right.
then they would have jurisdiction over that. I just want to make sure we don't have a conflict
Great.
in the future.
that's good.
Okay, they're good.
I have a question.
I just described 7. So 7 is being discussed as an alternate to the bid. So it's not necessarily being taken out. So this is a sensitivity to the $3 million cap that the select board talked about. So 3.1 million is a conservative estimate because it hasn't been bid yet. So this isn't a final cost estimate. It's something to put on the warrant to say we think it'll be around 3.1. When it goes out to bid, it could come in at 2.9, 3.2, 3.3, right? It could change. So identifying things that could be alternates are a way of shaving cost if necessary in order to meet the select board's goals. So it's not taking it out, it's saying identifying ways to cut in case it's necessary.
I guess I did just have one other thing. So we have, clearly there's a parking issue there. I worry about taking 2 of those parking spots and kind of having charging stations there, whether or not we're going to lose flexibility or compound the problem that we have. Was it to charge
One would
police cars?
charge a staff, there would be staff parking. So, and I think by signage, that's a point, that is a good point, that by signage, it might not be dedicated to, anyone can probably park there.
Yeah.
Anyone is in a non-police department
Well,
person?
I think one's supposed to be a staff space, but if they're both staff spaces, I don't remember, but I know one was definitely for someone working.
Yeah, they're not intended to be public spaces. It's not a great use of
Mhm.
how you charge EVs. So it's for staff and future police vehicles.
Okay. Yeah. And it's are they do they have a place on the schematic yet, or is that still to be worked out? I'm just responding to Nathan's comment about not wanting to have permanent structures that make it more challenging to manage the parking.
We did get a big set on Friday, and I have not looked at the electrical site plan to see, but
Mhm.
I'll make a note about it. I'll talk to Justin about it. We'll make sure that parking is not, isn't worse than.
Yeah.
Because there is going to be a garage, so.
Yeah. I had a question. Just again, I'm going back to what I recall seeing in December, so I could be way out of date here, but at that meeting we discussed the proposed new entrance, that was in the plans that we saw then. Now, and at that time we were saying let's not do that because we wanted to keep the cost down. But I couldn't tell looking at the new plans whether it was still there or not. What is happening on the entrance?
No new entrance. There's still a new door at the lower level, but not that portico.
And so how will there then still be a
The ramp will still
ADA
be
accessible?
there.
I got it. The ramp will still be used. Okay, all right. And then my other question was just about the third floor. Again, from my quick glance at the plans, it looked like there is no toilet facility on the third floor. And is that
That was discussed.
and that's
It's too difficult to get piping there.
okay.
But it's not open to the public, so I don't.
No, I just was
Yeah, it's
thinking
not
about it for the
required.
staff that are working up there.
It's an inconvenience, that's all.
Yeah. Okay.
They shouldn't wait too long to go.
Right. And when we talked to Chief Amendola, people are not spending 8 hours a day up there. It's,
Yeah.
Coming and going. Yeah.
So the chief was on.
I saw that. But I want to wait. So are there any other questions at the table? David? Nothing? Do we want to invite the chief to weigh in? I saw he was on the screen earlier. Chief, do you have any comments to make?
Excuse me. No, sorry I couldn't be in person. I just wanted to take a second actually to commend the committee and the work they've been doing. They've been putting in a lot of good effort and trying to make this a successful project for the town. So thank you very much for all your volunteer and help on that end. But they've hit pretty much all the target aspects that we were going to talk about tonight. So I don't have much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So the pressure for a number tonight is twofold. First, the warrant has to be posted this week. So if you want to include a number on the warrant, you have to make that decision now before the final cost estimate is done, which is why the 3.1 is being recommended with some contingency in there. If you don't want to put a number on the warrant and just keep it general, that's also fine. And they can speak for themselves, but the committee discussed that a number would be better than no number on the warrant, signifying that this is a consensus effort going out to the town. That number can also change as you go into town meeting, so it can go up and it can also go down if you want in the motion book. So the pressure to get a decision done tonight is not the final design or the final cost. It's to get the warrant out to the public so that they know this vote is coming, and then to adjust it as you go to town meeting on May 13th.
Okay.
I'm comfortable moving ahead with a number.
I'm a little less inclined, even though I
Okay.
would kind of like the committee thinks it's valuable, so I'd like to hear a little bit more. But I'm just because I'm concerned that if we go out and if it comes in at higher than 3.1 million, I think we have to, we may have to really seriously evaluate this. Not that we wouldn't do it, and I just think we set ourselves up for a problem. And if it's only 2.5 weeks, why wouldn't we get the number and then, be able to go into town meeting with a number?
Well, one thing is that's an estimated number. It's not a bid number. I would agree with you if we were going out to bid and we were going to get a bid number.
Yep.
But an estimated number is still an estimate. And
this will then commit the town at the town meeting to that number. we could raise it at town meeting. So if for instance, if we set the number tonight at 3.1 million or something,
Yeah.
and then it came in at 3.2, the town meeting, we could amend it to 3.2 and vote on it at that time.
Yeah, and we might even do it a few days beforehand, right? So that it's in the handbook, the motions handbook handout, right? If we knew it by the time we had that May 7th meeting or whatever that date is, the week before. Well, do you all want to share with us your thoughts about recommending we have a number?
It was more so people get a sense of this is the scope, and we're not trying to not show you stuff. But as Kate said, it's even if when we have the cost estimate, it's not a final bid. It's not an actual bid, so it's someone's best professional estimate about what the price might be.
We felt it was a step in the right direction toward transparency. Just other than saying, we don't want to tell you what it might cost.
Yeah.
It's just a way of saying, it was our best guess at the moment.
Can we put some language to that effect in the explanation in the warrant? To make sure, in the summary?
Don't we have to settle on a not to exceed number? Isn't the number voted the not to exceed number? Whatever the number is at the end and whenever we do it, don't we have to vote a number? And if it's higher, when you're all done with all the bidding, if it's higher,
You have to go back.
you have to go back. So it
find
is a
money
not to
somewhere.
exceed number.
Yes,
I don't
but
understand all the warrant language, the Weasley language. We may not want to do it now, but we have to
You have to
put a number down by the time of town meeting,
by the
right?
time of town meeting.
So why do we
Question
need-
is, why do we need to do it now?
We don't, but we also don't need the Weasley language in the warrant, right? We're gonna have a number. We don't need best effort and our best guess. We don't need all that.
yes, we do.
Why?
Because the motion might be for more or less than the number that's in the warrant. The warrant,
Talk about the
Maybe-
printed book.
we're talking about the printed book.
It goes out, that everybody has access to.
So to be clear,
You want to introduce
you
yourself?
can, I'm sorry.
You can sit there.
And, the microphones pick up for?
Yep.
Yeah, they're picking up.
Okay. Wayne Davis, town moderator. So in the warrant book, you don't have to put a number if you don't want to. You don't have a number for your budget, right? That's the biggest one in the entire warrant. So you don't have to put a number in, but it's good to let people know if you can. Once you put a number in, then other than a small change, if you went from 2,000,009 to 2,009,050, you can do a small change upward and as far down as you want. But once you put a number in, you can't go substantively above it.
Mean a day or two or the day of town meeting?
That
On
is right.
your-
So if you put in 2.9, you can't. 3.1 would be considered. I mean, it's kind. There's no hard and fast line. It's a judgment call on behalf of on the part of the moderator. But generally, it's the standard is expected to be de minimis. So maybe a couple of percent. But you don't want to have anything big. So if you need a lot of wiggle room, then don't put any number. If you think you've got, or either that, or you put a high number in and then come in and your motion is lower. But then on the motion, you still at the end of the day, whatever is actually voted. If the bids then subsequently come in and they're higher, then you have to go back or come back to the voters. Is that clear as much?
So I think the question would be for the board would be as to how much can the town from your tolerate price for this renovation? Because that would be the key. If it's going to be, I mean, we can go down any amount, but going up higher, because it's a risk if you put in what we're recommending right now. So,
Well-
and you guys have been talking with the FinCom, I haven't been involved with that recently, so it's just what can the town afford and how high you can go if you wanna put a number in then, I think, and that's only speaking for me because, you know, the committee hasn't looked at this and discussed it or anything like that, but that's just my thought from what Wayne just said.
So I thought 3.1 was a conservative number. Is it what you were just saying? That might be a tight number?
This is a very interesting construction area, timeframe. So, you know, when we first put this out for bid last time and we got the estimates from TVA and they were, what, off, how much, Kate, you were on that committee? They were up almost 40% or
Yes.
50%, so,
It's very
We never- we
difficult
never put it
to
out for bid.
estimate refurbishment. I mean, it's much easier to estimate building from the ground up. But you never know what you're going to, without X-ray vision, there's always something that's going to happen, and contractors tend to bid higher on rehabs than they bid on other things because they don't know what the heck they're going to run into.
And this is even more complicated because it's a phased construction of an operating police station. So it is possible that people will put in extra to make sure that, because it's gonna be actively running and the system's gonna have to be working. But when we met on Friday, we talked about, we know that the town has a lot of priorities, that the $2.9 to $3 million was what worked within the general financial capacity. So we talked about, well, where do we think we are based on the $2.9 million estimate from December? And that's how we discussed it. And talking to Justin and his team, we came up with the 3.1 as a reasonable
guesstimate.
And that,
So-
And that's what it is.
And that's the concern I personally have, is because if we say 3.1, or we put that in the warrant, and then all of a sudden it comes in at 3.25, and the town wants to do this, we can't, we'll have to go back.
None of us is opposed to having a higher number. We were just trying to come up with something that we felt.
You guys would swallow, and the town would swallow.
how does it, back to Nathan's question, how tight is the 3.1? I mean, you all have a much better sense of the numbers, obviously, than we do.
We
so
don't
you-
know until we see the estimate.
No, but I mean, the way you put it together, I don't have that, it's not in front of me, but that listing of all the costs, you know, that you saw in the memo earlier, I remember
Yes.
seeing there's some contingency in there, and there was a couple of other things near the end of that budget.
That was the
So-
2.9 number though, that wasn't the 3.1.
Right, so
I can add this because it's a guess on our part, but you know, when we talked with TVA, they were looking at cutting some stuff down so that they can get into this 3.1 million area, or 3.3 million, 3.1, and they removed and redid some of the HVAC to, lower some of the condensing units outside, to combining them instead of having separate ones. So, they're concerned too. So I think they're confident at around 3, but they're not estimators. It's just,
And the bidding climate can change,
Exactly.
in 60 days. And it just, we still have an inflationary pressure.
So I just want to clarify then something, Wayne, that you were saying. So let's say, just for the sake of the discussion, that we said the number tonight, we decided we did want to put a number in the printed warrant book. We put in 3.1 million. The estimate that Justin is going to get back, if I remember his memo, is like in 2.5 weeks or something, right? That estimate comes back and it's higher. So that, the way to think about that estimate is that's it's a little bit better than the current guesstimate. Is that the way to think about that? It's a more, okay. And so let's say we're faced then with an increase, Wayne, that we want to consider, and we may decide we want to have the town vote on it. I think it'd be helpful if you could be a little more specific about how much larger. No, but I mean, because if it's your call, I mean, that's the other part of it here. This is kind of an odd dynamic, right? Where it's, Well, Wayne, we really feel strongly that, 3.5 million is what we should have, and, does that seem reasonable?
The other curve is too, before Wayne answers, is that if it comes in at say 3.2 and we have to go for another cycle, the inflation of construction
I know.
is gonna be more than
Yeah.
that 3.2.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I mean,
That's why I'm asking, what's our ability to increase if we decided we wanted to, what's our ability, what's the range that would be acceptable?
This is why I get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. You're on the warrant, $50.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get double what you do, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Infinitely more.
Yeah.
So good as we extended your term.
Yes. We're getting name, image, and likeness. We're gonna get coffee mugs.
Yeah, so, I'll put a stake in the ground at 5%.
Okay, so
That's a
that's
I'm not gonna do that.
So that.
So what's 5% of 3.1
So that would be
million?
about
that's
150.
150,000,
Yeah.
which is the 3 point,
Yeah.
well, from 3.1 it goes to 3.2
325,
to 2.5.
which is kind of.
Wayne, the intent is that if a voter were to come to town meeting and with the expectation that it was gonna be 3.1 million and said, well, I'm comfortable at that number, I'm not gonna show up, and then town meeting goes and it goes to, 5 million, they say, geez, I thought it was something gonna be in that 3, is that the rationale?
Right, that is exactly the rationale. Unfortunately, like many things in the law, it's impossible to draw sort of a bright line. It's a judgment call where between a 50% increase versus a 0.05% increase. At what point would someone go ballistic and say, if I had known, I would have shown up?
Right.
And so, but my sense, I've not had to confront this particular issue as moderator, just because it just hasn't come up. As I've seen what's happened in other towns, some moderators say, they don't want to go a penny more. I think that's ridiculous. But I think most probably get uncomfortable beyond about 5%. So that's why I'm not picking it out of thin air, but that seems to me that it's pretty defensible. If you went, if you came in at 10%, would I say no? You can't have the vote. No, I wouldn't. I would say, look, just be forewarned.
But even
if
though
some
any of
voter
those,
wants to challenge it, they may have a case. But who knows what a judge would say.
and so I'm hearing. There's kind of 3 gates, right? So there's a gate at the warrant book publishing where we could say we don't have an estimate. That sounds kind of weak. Or we could say like what Alan said, or what Bill said. We gave it our best shot. This is what we think. It may be slightly different by the time you come to the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second gate is at the meeting, we'll have a fresh set of quotes, but they're still estimates. We'll pick a number. Now we're hearing it can be 105% of the number we put in the book, if we put a number in the book.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's a number that gets voted, and it gets voted at the ballot box too, right? The same number is what gets voted, even if we dramatically learn something in the week.
The ballot doesn't have a number.
It does not have a number.
So the budget is set at town meeting.
Okay.
The authorization to exceed covers the cost of that borrow. So the control is at town meeting. The ballot is
And you
not.
don't print it on the ballot, I guess, but people have to do their homework. They presumably know what they're voting for at that moment.
It is tied to the town meeting vote.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And then there's a process, and then real binding quotes come in, and if it's too much above that, if it's even a penny over that, and we can't cut the penny out, then we got to go back to the voters, right?
Yeah.
We could find, can't we find, if it was,
We
say,
find some savings.
or find some money, an extra, if it was, came in $20,000 more and they said, no, this is it, could the town, we could probably find $20,000.
It's only the,
But it's of magnitude.
okay,
Yes.
all right, okay. So,
Right.
yeah, so I'm fine putting, but, so we're back to the optics of putting a number in the warrant book.
Right. And you said it looks weak, and I'm just
Well,
not.
I think it looks weak to say I don't have a number. I guess. I kind of, now I'm back, now I'm actually on your side.
All right.
Put some weasel words around it.
So just to be, I mean, just to be clear, the statute is very minimalistic, because the statute that really goes back a couple hundred years, it hasn't been updated that much. All you really need to have is the subject matter.
Right.
Right? Where it gets a little bit trickier is particularly where you're going to bond something, bond counsel wants to see more. So the more you can get in the warrant, the better. And, sort of, I think everyone here is in favor of more transparency. So as much as you can tell the voters in advance, you want to do that. But as between a rock and a hard place, all you really need to do is have the legal requirement is the subject matter. You could say, we're going to vote on whether to appropriate money for a police station. And that would be sufficient as a warrant article from a purely legal perspective. So you do have some plan. It's just a trade-off on do you want to formally do it in the warrant? Another thing you could do if you go, I'll call it the budget route, because you never put a budget number in. You can say, okay, look, the warrant language just says we're going to vote on the police station, and you just don't have a number in. The summary could say, could include that estimates are coming in, and a final number will be presented in a motion. Currently, it is expected to be somewhere around $3 million or whatever number. You could put that in the summary, and people get they know order of magnitude.
Yeah.
And so if that's what you really care about, that may be a solution that works for you.
And the order of magnitude that's in the summary, therefore, does not limit us to the 5%
Right.
change, right? So
Precisely.
that number, the actual number we want to present at town meeting could be any number we choose at that point,
That's right.
correct?
Unless we want to have some mechanism to limit ourselves.
No, I'm not suggesting
We did
Recommend.
that 3 million.
Well,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I mean,
So I guess if we can put in the summary,
Mhm.
that completely changes what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because if the people who want to put it in, if that meets the goal, then I think that's fine. Because I absolutely don't think it should go in the part that we can't really move, because this has gone on for so long. I really, really don't want it to go over 3.1 million. But we can't have another do-over.
Yeah.
And so if we're tying our hands because we want to put a number in, I think that that's a really big mistake. And because we can't even have the conversation about whether or not we want to go higher. But I still really think 3.1 is the max. The other thing that I would just say is, if we pulled out some of the finishings on some of the offices as an alternate, are there other things, and I'm not picking on it, but like charging stations, are there other things that we could put in an alternate path just in case this comes in a lot higher than we thought, and we could say, okay, we'll do those later and not lose the jewel of this project, which is accreditation for the police
And
department.
there probably are, whether they're, the key will be just we don't have any costs at all at the moment, knowing whether it's something that's insignificant that can be changed with both high color temperature and low temperature lighting system, versus, the heat pumps, One will have a small amount of benefit in terms of the cost, and the other one will have a large amount. So we have no idea what those are right now. But, will there be some trade-offs? Probably. Whether they're going to be in areas that affect the total bottom line is unknown at this point.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering if we should put those out before the estimate, so that when the estimate does come back, if it's higher than what we thought, we can still pull them out.
We can pull the trigger much
Still-
faster.
We-
Yeah.
Right,
Justin was
just-
going to do a few, but it
Yes.
programmatically, this is a pretty tight program and to meet accreditation and accessibility. So we did talk about whether we could do outer alternates, and there are just a few, but I mean, looking at drawings and I don't see a ton of value engineering.
You don't see a ton of what?
Alternates that would make this thing.
Give you a menu of
Yeah.
things you could
Yeah,
delete.
value
if we
engineering
needed
is sort
to.
of the term of art to get cost cutting.
It would
Um,
seem like even if it was like $100,000 or $150,000, that could be the game changer
Yeah.
that we need.
Well, there is a furniture line item that's $75,000, and I think that
Could we put in a different budget?
that could be something else. That could be, you could definitely take off 50 and just look around for stuff. So that was the line item I was looking to cherry pick, before you did anything construction wise.
And we would just need to know what those are before town meeting, right? Before giving a real number.
So kind of. So you need to know them before it goes out to bid. So the number is the estimate. It was estimated by a professional estimator in December. It's being re-estimated by a professional estimator currently. You'll have numbers tied to a construction document. I know there's tons of caveats, but that's as close as you can get without going out to bid.
Before town meeting.
And then when you go out to bid, you can put a lot of the stuff in the alternate to make sure that you meet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about the estimates coming in. I'm wondering if they should be cut before the estimate, or if they should be put aside as another project like the finishes, so that in going to town meeting, we're going with a number that we know is going to be absorbable. That's not a word, but totally, definitely we should do it at the bid documents as well. But I'm worried about that number for town meeting. If they come back at 3.4,
The estimate is gonna be detailed enough, so we'll be able to look at it and then peel out some of that stuff.
Okay.
I would think. I'm hoping.
Which we will hopefully have by the 24th.
okay, all right.
If the estimate's bananas, then you're back to square one. So
Right. Right.
So-
That's a good point.
What I'm hearing, though, for the original question is that we would not put a number in the warrant, but we would put a very careful explanation in the summary about what the number could be, and that, to give people some heads up as to the scope and size of this project.
And let's just be a little precise then about what that is in the summary. We're thinking it would say in the range of 3 million, or we're thinking it would say 3 to 3.1. What are we thinking that actual language would look like in the summary?
3.1 plus or minus.
The 3.1 must, the current best guess is.
Current best guess, 3.1.
That was a variance.
With, plus or minus. Yeah, but, and that, to make it clear that it's an estimate.
Yeah. Is
I
people
think that's
comfortable with
great.
that?
Yeah, very much so. I think this is, we've had
Before
a
you
good
started.
discussion. Well, no, we've had a good discussion about this. I just was concerned that if we got to town meeting and it, exceeded it, we would kind of have a real problem. And so I think this alleviates that.
Yeah.
And transparency is important, and, hopefully the mosquito covers this and talks about our discussion, and, voters are educated. But we'll see what happens.
Okay,
Do we need a motion, or this just can
I
be the
think-
sense of the board?
I think we have the sense of the board, unless you think it's clearer in the minutes to have a motion?
we're gonna write it tonight, so we're good.
Okay,
We'll
we're
get to
gonna
it.
write it and, okay, great. Excellent.
I also have a question.
Yes,
I have a question into bond council if they answer to make sure that we don't need a number, which I don't think we do.
yes.
But I just wanted to make sure.
Great.
Okay,
Hopefully he's.
Thank you all.
thank you for all
Thank you
your
for all
work.
your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I
Really
know
appreciate
this
it.
is not easy. I haven't done it once before. Yeah, yeah.
I would say before you dismiss them, logistically, do you plan on recommending that article? The police renovation, when that comes up tonight, or do you need to have more discussion about it?
I
No, I
recommend
hope not.
I'm
Yeah,
ready to recommend it.
How about you?
And that,
As long
the
as
memo
it's
that you
one.
put out there from
Yeah.
TDA, I thought was very well written and, you know, talked about, you know, the importance of accreditation, you know, accessibility. And I think that Justin, if people need more language, I mean, Ryan's talked to them a lot, they've been very helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
We need to close our meeting.
Oh,
Yes.
who wants to make a motion
I
to?
move we adjourn.
I'll second
Dave, you wanna vote?
Aye.
that.
Louis, aye.
Russo, aye.
That was Dave.
And Spinny, aye.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief, for coming.
All right.
All right. Budget.
All right, so obviously Wayne's here, so
Yes.
there's things to do. Here's the to-do list. I put it on the screen for you. So we have to make, you don't have to, but you could consider recommendations of these articles that would be printed in the warrant. If you don't do it, you can make those at town meeting. That's completely fine too. The order of the articles, the summary language, making sure you're comfortable with that. We're gonna talk about taking Article 5 away when we get to that. Changing some, I gotta change the numbers if you make any decisions tonight. There's a consideration of a CPA consent agenda. I'm gonna make the graphics visually appealing and then confirm the election warrant. And then I know the town meeting study committee also has some recommendations that they wanted to be part of this. So that's what we have to do tonight in the next, hopefully, hour and a half.
Okay.
Wayne is limited time.
Yes.
And so
What do we
what
need
is
to,
your
what do we need to do for that, Wayne, between 1 and 7, what do we, for you, what do you need for? Among, I should say.
I just had two things from the, come up here from the study committee, and I don't, you know, unless you need me for something on any of these, which I'm not sure that you do, maybe the CPA consent.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just because you and I chatted about it and
Yeah.
it'd be worthwhile.
So, I mean, it's not even on your list, but the things from the study committee, one is a very momentous one, which is, recommendation is that the select board get put back up on the stage, but leave the FinCom off.
All right,
You know,
whatever.
I mean, it's just, and practice varies in different towns across the state, and after we let you guys sit in the audience last time, a number of people, most people were fine with it. Some people commented back to me, gee, you know, the select board, we elect them, we ought to see them, and it's important for them to be accountable and feel accountable, and, you know, I like to see them up there so everyone knows their faces.
You can take better aim at them.
Perhaps, yeah. Anyway, and the I think it's fair to say, and obviously David's actually the chair of the study committee, but I think the feeling of the study committee was that, yeah, they thought it is a good thing for people to know who their select board members are, and they felt FinCom was, you know, somewhat different. People can look up the names if they want to, but since select board was elected, and we have the space is a little bit tighter since we have the electronic voting. So I'd actually prefer not to have both groups back up there, but one group is fine. So I was fine with it, and that's
Okay.
recommendation of the study committee.
Does anybody on the select board have any objection to sitting back up on the stage? Okay, so let's accept that recommendation from the
Right, and
Meeting study
There are a couple of other things I'm just going to go ahead and implement on my own, but one that actually it's actually your decision at the end of the day on the consent agenda. The consent agenda is it's just a procedural thing, and there's not hard and fast rules. Our practice in Carlisle has been absolutely middle of the road, as near as I can tell, around the rest of the Commonwealth, which is that you put on things you think are routine, non-controversial, and in general have avoided things that are just one-time votes or that it's the first time something comes up. So there have been a number of things over the years where we voted it separately, and then the second or third year that came up, we just put it in the consent agenda. In other towns, Concord and Boxborough are two that are reasonably close, and that I would say personally I respect their practice and their moderators and the way they do things. They've tended to be a little bit more liberal. So things that it's something that you think is going to be routine, because it only takes one voter to say hold and then it's pulled out. So it's something,
too, by the way. I mean,
right? Yeah, and that
they
could
do
still
so
happen.
great.
And if someone wants to throw a wrench in things, they can say hold on every one. I hope that doesn't happen. But you could. So it's really up to the select board if you want to be a little bit more liberal. And so as I looked, and the study committee's feeling is save time wherever you can so that we either have more time to talk about the meaty things that we're really there to talk about, or that we get home earlier.
Yeah.
And so as I looked at the warrant, and everyone can have their own views, it struck me that the repeal of the opioid thing, it's like, who's going to question that?
Yeah.
The wage table was unclear to me. I thought that might be another candidate, but you all know the politics on that a lot better than me. So I was offering those two as candidates if you wanted to expand the consent agenda a little bit, but
Let me put it over before you comment. Let me just say two things, okay? One is we have a committee of 9, which I'd say is great. First of all, because there's more people to do stuff, but also it's a broader swath of people. It's some younger people who don't go or haven't yet gone, people with young kids. I mean, there's more demographic diversity, so I respect the opinion. So when Wayne says, like, should the select board sit up at the thing, you're getting a sample size bigger than often we get, like talking about. The biggest single thing I think that's come out on our current focus, which is to increase participation, is that the meeting's too long and there's too much crap. So we are thinking about ways, and Wayne's been leading this, that we can easily sort of declutter. One of them is he's committed, I'm going to say right now, to make that preamble section. Here's the fire exits and here's how you vote, and to make it short, like 15 minutes, because people have
a lot
observed,
shorter than that.
and we don't even get to the Article 1 till 7:45.
Right.
So there's like low-hanging fruit. So the second piece is put more stuff in the consent, zip through that. And then, as I've mentioned to Kate and you and Ryan, one thing that also came out is, hey, the police station's why I came. Like, why is it buried after all these other things like fire trucks? I don't care about those. I want to talk about police station. Let's, so lead with your lead, right? So I think just the overarching philosophy of this is, let's see if we can streamline it. And this is a test bed for, seeing if we can get people more engaged and say, yeah, that was a positive experience. I got home by 9:30 or whatever, and we got some stuff to say.
I'm completely on board with that. I support that, and I was just going to add to this by saying that I did, have some comments on the consent agenda, the items that had the 2 asterisks, only about just explaining the magnitude of it. So, for example, Article 5, real estate tax exemption. We didn't mention like the magnitude of that. We said, we're going to exempt certain people. But, and I asked Ryan, I said, these are, and he said, it's probably $1,500. Well, I think if you can, 15 what?
Thousand.
1,000, I'm sorry. Yeah, I had that right. But I said, well, it's just another, what's a zero? Well, that's,
It's just a digit.
okay, that was a bad example. Anyway, I was saying, why don't we put a little bit more information in it so that
Yes.
somebody like me doesn't raise their hand and say, well, wait a second, how much is this? I don't want to consent. So I made a list and I passed along to Ryan just of a couple of those things I thought could use a little more clarification as to the magnitude.
And I agree, I have my own list here for that.
All right.
So that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
consent or
But
not. it should be-
I like the philosophy of that. Let's,
My only concern about, I came for the police station, and so why not put it before, is what, our major job is the budget at.
I wasn't suggesting before the budget.
Okay.
I was suggesting, and I'll get to it later.
Right after the budget.
Well,
So, I mean, I don't want
budget and the
people to get up
capital.
and leave before we do the budget,
No,
and we don't have a quorum.
We would have consent agenda and budget. Those are typically pretty fast.
Okay.
And then before MFC, fire truck, opioid, hopefully and consent, stabilization, GIS, bog house. I mean, oh my God, my head hurts already.
Right.
And then,
And
you know,
then-
Yes,
like
okay.
the biggest thing should be the first of the special.
This is my whole life, David.
Just
dismissed.
Okay, so do we have agreement that we could massage the order of these articles and that we can have more in the consent agenda?
Yeah, I agree with the items for consent agenda that we brought up.
I,
Fine.
agreement, all right.
totally. Yep.
Including on the wage, the
Yeah,
wage.
yeah, the wages,
Yeah. We're
especially
gonna talk
there.
about CPC, because I don't agree with that being.
Well, we have to hear what the ideas are, we haven't heard
No,
anything yet.
the
That's a
CPC
different-
you can't do as part of the normal consent agenda. So, but
Yeah.
This
I
is-
can talk about that separately.
But the devil's in the details too. Like on the wage thing, I had some questions on that, and I think it's just getting the language of explaining it. And so we'll do that tonight, or we're gonna.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we have to
Great.
work on the summaries.
we can
to
do
make
that
sure
later.
we-
We can
yeah,
do that later.
okay, great, we'll do that on our time and not on
And just
Wayne's.
a note to you, Ryan, sort of the order, there's nothing that requires you to string all the consent agenda items together consecutively, but if you want to, you know, it's probably easier for people.
I think easier.
Yeah, it's easier to
Don't
understand.
confuse people.
So if
Okay.
you want to put those up as numbers 9 and 10, or 10, or whatever it comes out to be.
All right,
May I make a recommendation?
of course.
I think you should go through each one and talk about them and approve them and do the language, and then I think the order and whether or not they could be consent agenda will reveal itself too,
Okay,
Okay.
because your level of question and debate will probably indicate everyone else's.
right.
Okay. Do you want to put that on the screen, or?
You wanna, we're
And
gonna,
where in that process would you suggest we do the, whether we want to take a vote to approve it or not, so it goes in the warrant book?
as we're going,
As we're
doing
going
it,
through them,
yes,
first
one at a
round.
time.
Okay.
Okay, so now the question is though, do we need to have a little more explanation about the CPC article? Now, or is that
That's a whole
later?
separate thing.
That's
Okay,
That's a separate proposal.
it's
It's
not
not a
in the
consent agenda for the CPA
Oh,
articles.
consent
That's
agenda.
separate
Well,
from this one.
At the point where you.
So you don't actually have to decide on the CPC whether to do it as a consent or not tonight. With the last couple of years, what I've been doing, so CPC is similar to the budget. So actually, the way we do the budget is a form of consent agenda. We don't call it that way. But, way back when, there used to be a separate vote on each line
Oh, I
item,
see what
and
you
some
mean.
towns still do that.
yeah,
So instead, we go through a similar exercise of saying, do you want to hold on it? So we've sort of moved, the CPC is similar in that there's supposed to be a vote on each one, and that's why we have it listed as separate motions. What we've moved to in the last couple of years to set is that we've made a judgment call after the warrant, but before the town meeting, I talk with the committee, with you, and we sort of figure out which ones look like they need to be voted separately and which can be bundled. And I've kind of handled it at the meeting. And so we can still do that. You don't have to decide that tonight if it's not clear. So we can do some of, can vote all of them together or say two together and two separately. We can sort of figure that out a little bit later if you want. Okay.
Right.
And if you don't mind, I can actually call in and be on the phone till like 9 o'clock.
Okay.
If you want.
Sure. It's 8:10, so
Okay.
we need to go.
Great. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.
I will log you before I get the
Okay.
All right.
All right, where are we on our list of things to do?
I'll moderate now that Wayne's leaving.
Yes.
So Article 1 is the consent agenda itself, having one.
Yes.
And we're just decided we're adding to it.
And we can recommend that, right?
Yes.
Yes. Can I have
All
a
in favor of
motion?
the consent?
Can I have a motion to support Article 1?
So move to support Article 1.
Second.
As amended tonight, where we
As
add the
right.
opioid and
Well, we haven't gone
case.
through that.
Yes.
But I thought we all just decided
Yeah.
we're comfortable with adding
Comfortable
those
with it.
two.
Okay,
Yes.
yes.
I agree with that.
Okay.
So it'll say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
Well, that's why we should go through the whole thing because it's all going to change.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
So let's go to
Okay.
Article 2.
Article 2.
Let's not.
Town
We have to
reports.
vote it,
Thank
right? Are we
you.
voting each one?
No, let's not vote Article 1 yet because we don't know what's in it.
Okay.
Article,
We look at,
Article 2, town reports.
which now includes language based on the streamlining recommendation of my Patriot Act report, which is in there.
It includes what?
Patriot Act report is in there now.
So you will not give it?
I will not give it orally, it's in writing.
hey, save us
Okay.
30 seconds.
Excellent. Well,
Every minute's count. I'm telling you.
So it'll be added to
Yeah.
the summary?
It is in there now.
Oh, that's
This is
right.
the
We'll
most
look at
current
this,
version
not our-
up here.
Yeah, okay,
oh, I see. Yes, shoot.
all right.
Okay, sorry. Requires select board publish an annual town report. Requires town administrator to report annually to the town meeting on any information in the town's possession about the way the Patriot Act is being implemented in the town. Town administrator has reported the following. There have been no investigations implemented by town departments using the Patriot Act since the last annual town meeting. Town meeting voters are asked to accept these annual reports as a routine matter. Okay?
And we don't vote to approve that?
So you approve the whole consent
Well,
agenda at the
You're
end.
right. Okay. So
Right.
then a non-binding vote, is that, are we okay with that being in the consent
Yes.
agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds fine.
Yes.
Let's go on.
Salaries of elected officials.
I have two comments.
Yes.
One is, I think, again, in the view of information transparency, we ought to do the math on the town clerk's salary increase. And the second question is, when I did the math, I got 3.3%. Why is she not at the 2.25% that we tell everybody else they have to be on?
So last year, the select board approved a step increase for non-union employees based on a positive review.
Okay, so I think we should say all that stuff in the explanation. Because otherwise, people, again, may question it. Oh, and I have one other question before we answer, which is, we don't have anything here where we talk about that there will be a ballot question about making her an appointed position. There really is no article
Well,
to
it's
comment.
in the summary right here.
Oh,
Yeah, it says.
Town clerk would be paid pursuant to the document.
Should the town vote?
The last
it out
sentence.
that way?
well, it's
Right.
it's pretty modestly written. I
Yeah.
would say.
We should say the amount.
I believe we should explain why the increase is 3.3%. Because,
Yeah.
people who do math will say, well, gee, all the worker bees are getting 2.25. What's up with that? And we should strengthen then, I'm sorry I missed that. We should strengthen the sentence that, reminds people that there is a vote the following week to move it to an appointed position. Those are
So
my.
maybe just to follow
That's
up
in
with
there.
the second, the sentence after the one that starts page 4, right at the top where it says clerk is the only elected official that's paid a salary. Would your suggestion be then there'd be another sentence that says, the amount shown represents 2.25 as a COLA and whatever the percentage is for the step increase per the wage
Yeah, I would.
scale, right?
That's,
Which I'm fine with that too.
yes, something like you said. I don't know the exact math. What he's saying.
Yeah, because we don't know what step she's at. And that's the other.
It says at grade 10.
Or
I
just
know
say,
grade 10, but there's the steps. That's what gives her the extra percent. Because if she's getting a step increase.
I don't think
Right.
it matters like how much that is. It's 2.25 and she's getting a step, and that
Right.
explains why it's more than 3.3.
That's why it's
Right.
more than 2.25.
I think that's, I think, I agree. I think
Yeah,
that's-
okay.
That's
Are
efficient.
you good with that line?
I
Yeah.
agree with that line. And then, but then
Okay,
another line,
Her step increase given
maybe,
to includes
maybe a bold
expectations.
line, reminding people at the end of this paragraph, in its own little paragraph, just a
maybe-
reminder that,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's,
Or maybe it's a new paragraph below it so it stands out a little bit.
yeah, I'd like to stand out. Cause I mean, you wanna remind people that there's
Alright,
gonna be
so-
that vote.
I think they want, you're saying you want a carriage return between expectations and should?
Yeah.
Okay, carriage return there.
Is that a typewriter reference?
I love it. Isn't it great? Yeah. It's a carriage.
Ching ching.
Ching, right.
You never heard that before?
I'm just proud of myself for knowing that.
Yeah. You're the last generation to know that.
So I would be more declarative and say, as a reminder, there, at the town meeting held on such and such a date, no, the prior one, the
Oh.
town approved the ballot question to
Oh, I
move
see.
the position from an elected to an appointed role, and then you
Yeah,
can say, you
yeah.
know, and we are voting it like next week. You can fill in.
I don't know if you'd say reminder.
You could just say, start with the town.
Town
in
voted.
Fall of 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, see, as a reminder, you think it's too pedantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
We're trying to,
To,
good writing should shrink like bacon, right? Cut all the fat out of it.
Yeah.
The town voted in the fall for a town meeting to make the town clerk an appointed position. Appointed, period. Requires town election ballot question.
See,
Which
see,
is-
see page such and such.
Which will be held this,
Ballot question number 3
to be held on.
to be
Yeah,
held
right,
on.
Right, right.
at
Ballot, this requires a town ballot question.
No, it requires a town, yeah. Ballot to be held in.
To be
town
held on-
ballot vote or
See page.
Town
well, you can
ballot
refer-
vote
I would
on,
refer-
in May.
on May 21,
Yeah.
2024.
That's in the next sentence,
That's
but we
okay.
can do it.
Yeah, no,
I think it's good.
you're right. It is in the next sentence.
Yeah, it's in the next sentence, I do vote, period.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay. See page, XX, right, yep.
Yeah, I think that's good.
And the
I-
town
I-
vote
let's-
to
okay,
adopt
let's
the
move
ballot
on.
question.
And are we are not, oh, it's consent. Are we comfortable with this? Are we consent?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
You might want to say
Now-
continue to be paid under the.
Now, I do think it's possible somebody will want to hold this because they're going to want to ask the procedural question, right? About, okay, so if at the town election this passes to make it an appointed position, what
Right.
happens to the current town
Yeah,
clerk, right? I don't know if we want to anticipate it and put something in there,
But that's.
but I do think
yeah.
that could very well likely come up, and so this will get pulled out of the consent agenda.
That might be, but it
Yeah.
really has nothing to do with their salary.
No, I know it doesn't,
Yeah.
but I'm just anticipating
And-
that that's the kind of thing.
And-
As we
and
know,
it's
there are a few
contested
people that were
election.
very concerned about that
It's a
last
contested,
fall when it was gonna be
I
voted
understand,
on.
but
Yeah,
the other thing
That's
is
a- that's
it's
fine.
already contested.
But let's actually, let's anticipate one thing, which is, unfortunately, it's an eye chart here, but since you identified that she would move to, now stay with her. You've identified that she would move to grade 10.
Yeah.
Is the band of grade 10 within the,
It's hourly rate, so you'd have to do a whole lot.
I'm not asking us to do that, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
it is.
so
yes.
should we then say her salary would not change as a result of her current salary, the voted salary would not change as a result of that?
It does. So it says,
You say continue to be paid, but so is Wayne continuing to be paid, $50.
So this article does that.
It's not.
So we've tied it to the plan.
Would continue to be
But
paid.
It does require this vote to pay an elected official.
Okay, but I think you
I
should.
understand. I think you're missing the point. What I think, and allow me to try to elucidate.
Says, I'm not having fun.
He wants to make it clear that the number that's up there is the same as if it is calculated from the chart that's down
So
below.
that the grade 10 position would be
grade
the
10
same amount of money as what's shown.
Yes.
the chart above.
If you
That's
approve her
right.
salary, that's how much she'll get,
Yeah.
regardless of if the vote.
She would
even
not
if
be
the
paid
vote-
any differently. It's
To
basically,
me, this is what this says.
that's what I think.
Do you
it
want me to
says.
do the math? Is that what you're saying?
No, you don't have to do the math. You just have to say the clerk would be continued to pay
But that's what it says.
as.
It's exactly what it says.
Yeah,
Well, what it
No,
doesn't
in
say
Rome's
is
Article
a
9,
grade
I'm
10
saying
position
Article
is
this article.
equivalent to the money that's shown above.
I
for
think you
her.
should say she would continue to be paid pursuant to approved article, this approved Article 3 and.
okay, so wait a second, let's, what if we put that at the top, the first paragraph? Clerk is the only official that's paid a salary. The position was added to the wage and classification plan on 23 at grade 10. The amount shown includes the townwide 2.25 COLA in addition to a step increase given to all employees. Well, actually, that's what it
That's
says.
exactly what it says.
So it's-
Okay, I'm gonna try. Let's try this. The amount shown above, just add the one word,
Okay.
to be spare.
Yeah,
I mean, people, you
Yeah,
guys
shown
assume
above,
knowledge by people, they
right.
don't know
Yeah.
something.
so little,
The amount
second line
shown
on
above.
this page 4, yeah.
Is that enough bacon stripping for you, Mr.?
You're gonna be sorry,
Yes,
Ryan. You
no.
want us to go
It's fat.
through
It's
this
not the
word
bacon. You
by
wanna get to
word.
the bacon, not the fat.
So that ties the amount, okay. And
I
then
love this.
I'll give up.
Okay.
with that.
What?
I love this.
All
I
right.
think it's good enough there.
It's good
at this
now.
point.
Alright, let's go.
All right.
OPEB.
That's nice.
Oh, yeah.
So we do this every 2 years. We appropriate $3,000 per year. It costs a little under $6,000.
Okay.
Okay. So it's, I'm glad you put that number in. because it
You're
was-
gonna cut out the select board finance committee things, right? Because it's all gonna be consent.
Each one is identified by who put it on there, even if it's in the consent.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Okay.
hear the question.
I got it.
Yes.
This is identifying who
Who put
it on.
It's not a marker.
I
for
see,
the-
gotcha.
Okay, assuming you guys are okay with
Yes,
OPEB.
that's good.
I'm good, yeah.
Because it's required. So.
Then I
The-
don't think we should do it.
Okay, Article 5. So Article 5, I talked to the assessors today. You have approved everything you can approve under the statute unless you want to go even further, which is a whole nother debate. So this isn't approved annually. You've already approved it, so it can be taken out.
Okay, great.
Already passed this clause to the extent that's shown here, and it is valid. I confirmed it with the assessors. What we can talk about is increasing this next year to help senior taxpayers, but right now,
Yeah, you can strike it.
it can go.
Okay.
But Travis, is this where you wanted to include
No.
what the total cost
we
is
If,
every
if it
year?
was in there, but I was thinking it's more, my objective was to, like,
I agree.
what you're saying is cut down on objections that come
Yeah.
up that then would
Right.
delay this, and someone would say, what's the magnitude, how much is that?
No, I
And
totally
so-
agree with you. Because
So,
that's-
so that's
So take
this
this,
time we don't
if
have-
you can get it out of here, that's fine too, because
Okay,
we've
that's
already discussed it.
Even
and-
better.
even
so
better.
you're suggesting, Travis, that we should put
We
in a
should.
Town
figure
meeting
for what
was-
the magnitude is.
No, we're gonna remove Article 5.
Alan Ray.
Oh, we're removing it. Sorry, I missed that.
We're
Sorry,
removing
sorry,
it.
sorry.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
all right.
That is streamlined.
Monzo.
Okay.
Okay, Article 6 allows you
Is
to,
now Article
Well,
5.
you can,
Well, we should change them because, or highlight it then. Okay.
Okay.
You'll figure
okay, Chapter 90, this allows you to spend
Yeah.
Chapter 90.
This is totally routine.
it out. And I like that one because it puts approximately 250,000. So it
Tells us up, yeah. how
tells
much-
us what's going on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's great.
okay. Article 6. Peg, we know and love.
We have a
Way
special,
you've changed. No? Okay, sorry.
I did
It
add,
doesn't, what it doesn't say though there, can you hold on
Yeah.
for a second? Let's see. Go down this next page. Apologies. Okay, okay, you did it, because I was in the earlier version.
The reason I asked
It
about
didn't
it,
say what you withdrew the funds for, and you said it here, so that's
right,
good. Okay.
One small thing, you need to add an S to the word assist at the top of that next page. On page 5,
Assists.
this fund also assists.
Yep, we had a piece of that.
Okay. This is 7 now?
I asked, I asked about all these screens, I didn't realize that.
Oh.
All of our stuff in town
Came
hall
from
came
Peg.
from Peg. I was unaware, sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
Including the mics.
The new mics, yay!
Article 7, department. So if you wanted to add or subtract a fund, it would be done here. That's not being suggested this year. This sets the spending limit for the departments that have revolving funds. So I have those if you want to see them. Kelly has worked with each department to make sure that they have enough to cover their costs.
Yeah, more importantly, we need to have a different sort of a limit, and that's how much they can sit on. Not how
For
much
this,
they can
for the
spend.
purpose
not
But
this.
for
this meeting is fine,
this is
and it's
good.
not generally
Yes.
been challenged, so hopefully
Right.
that's good enough.
Exactly.
So this, the actual amounts will be printed in the motion book. We find it to
Yes.
be confusing.
Oh, by each revolving fund, you mean?
They'll be in the motion, but not in the warrant.
Right. Do you want to say that in the summary?
Like,
Say that the actual amounts that, will be in the motion book?
amounts of each fund. Or from
Is printed in the motion book.
Yeah.
So is it capital M motion book?
Sure.
I don't know.
The actual amounts, so amounts is plural, sorry, but so amounts are printed.
R.
Yeah.
R. No, that's a.
Amounts, yeah. Boy, good job,
Sorry.
Barney.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay, that's why we have a committee. So 8,
New 8.
salary wage table, okay.
So will this be going in the consent agenda?
I think.
I don't see why
We
not,
were saying-
because,
Be fine there.
Do you want to say though, in the summary that this was adopted, when did we do this, last spring?
You have to do it every year.
I know, but we've already considered it once, right? This is not a new,
Yeah, no, it's a new
No,
one.
it's new for this year.
It's new every year.
Every year.
Okay.
Every year.
It was changed a lot last year. But
yeah,
it
okay,
has to be
that's what I'm
approved.
thinking.
Right.
Okay, all right,
My
never,
minor recommendation is to bold the last sentence of the summary, just to make sure that they're clear that it's a 2.25% COLA, because that's.
I don't know about bolding anything.
Yeah, this
'Cause
table
it's
describes
confusing.
the wages.
As much as you want, you know what, you don't bold, I mean, they got bold in articles up there.
Okay, so don't bold.
Yeah.
But I asked Ryan the question relative to the amounts there. If it's not apparent or it wasn't clear to me that was the wage per hour. I didn't know if you needed to say that, because someone may say, like I did, what does that mean? Is that like the percentage?
Is that
Right, so you should
thousands?
say
got
that.
it,
Okay.
yeah.
I agree,
Got it.
that sounds smart, you should say that.
We can
Listing all positions
You
by
could say-
covering the actual hourly wage.
just next line, the last, after your title, centered. Put, all numbers represent hourly wage rates.
What? Okay.
Yeah, okay, perfect, and then,
That's
Or
good, then it's right there.
Expressed in hourly rates.
or
not right.
yeah, right, expressed in hourly rates.
Expressed as hourly.
This is
All
fun.
right,
You get a lot of help here.
You get to see what I do all day.
yes. All right, and then
You
of
got
course, we're gonna.
3 chiefs and 1 Indian. Or 4 chiefs and 1 Indian. 5 chiefs and 1 Indian.
Yeah,
okay.
good. And you'll do the spacing later.
Barney, if you didn't notice, the traffic safety member is a part-time police officer. So I added the asterisks.
Gotcha, thank you. I was asking what that was.
So do we wanna slot opioid in here to keep the numbers?
Oh. Number 9?
It's actually number
Yeah, what?
14, old 14.
Old 14. Why is that right? 14. Yes. X.
What did we do before word?
I know.
Well, I can tell you.
I know. I tell my kids about this, so like this electric was like a big deal in my.
Carriage.
And with the little correction tape.
Yeah, that was a big deal. You could
Yeah.
like correct a word.
It's
You're
huge.
like, what?
Maybe we'll put it, okay.
These were shorter, they didn't have to.
Yeah, now you're back
Actually,
to
I
the
was
same numbers.
I used typets.
The 9. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that killed that.
Let's type it.
The typets, they were like a sigma, big sigma, you know, or a big, you know, what do you call it? The symbols, and they were on a plastic thing. You'd stick it in there,
Oh, because you
and
didn't
then
have
you
it.
could. I didn't have it, so
All right, the consent agenda is complete. Sorry.
Yeah.
okay.
And did you
moving
put
it.
your double asterisk
No, wait,
next
I
to
thought there was
item
one.
9?
I did. So
Okay.
So
do
it's
you
through
want to
9
vote to
now?
recommend all of them?
Is it through 9?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, okay, because it was going to be. through
I move
10.
that the select board recommend approval of the consent agenda Article 1.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah,
So-
so we zip it through town meeting. Just let's do a big wording here. It's fine. Great.
Okay, 9 double asterisks.
Yes. No, you didn't, and you didn't put the double asterisk on it.
We disagree.
It is, right up
Yeah.
by fund.
Oh, I see, sorry. I'm at the end of it.
You, just on the summary for that opioid article, I guess that's fine. I was thinking you might want to lead with that we've approved it, but that's fine.
I thought it was
Yeah,
That's fine.
okay.
10.
10, the operating budget.
Now
Okay.
this is where, yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to pause here just to show you the very minor changes that have happened since you last saw this. So the library, we changed the wages. So we decreased. Oh, that's not showing. That's not helpful. So this is the total wages minus maintenance and custodial. That was 510. It dropped to 57. The custodial was around 40, and it went up to almost 42. So this was a library that made that change. This does equate to a 3% increase, as was asked by the Finance Committee and the Select Board, and is the exact numbers that are needed per the library and vetted by us. So an appropriate change. The second one. God, I have too many thoughts. All right. Give me 1 second, please. Just give me 1 second.
Next time I'll bring treats.
What's that?
I'll bring treats next time. Candy or peanuts.
Or every time we move through something and make a vote, we could all get a,
Yeah.
you know,
We get
chocolate
a
Hershey's
reward.
kiss. Yeah.
Yes. I'm not, because my dog has a button that you can push and it says, cookie please.
Jeez.
We could give each of us a button.
Does he push it constantly?
No, just when just
I know. It's
largely after dinner he wants
Yeah,
to.
really. Mine would be sitting
Sorry,
on
I got it. Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking All the remaining ones are with the Board of Health. So there was a transcription error that resulted in a $271 difference with the Board of Health
71, okay.
caught. So basically, I just shifted the lines down. It was $271.
Did we sort out that where the lunch fund's gonna pay for the lunch inspection, the food inspection?
And where does that money go? Yeah.
So the Board of Health discussed with school committee's approval, spending $475 out of the school lunch. But then they insisted with their unlimited authority that it stay in. So we're here with the $475 difference.
Why though?
I think mostly for control.
So I'm confused.
Stupid. Ask for it.
Yeah. This 475 is in the Board of Health budget, is that what you're saying?
Yes. And you could account for it in the revolving fund that could be used for nothing else.
We had
They would like to
proposed
keep it.
at the request of the Board of Health. I sat on a Board of Health meeting and was talking to them about the budget, and they actually came up with the idea that maybe that charge could go. I was talking to them about
Yes.
unused
Right.
revolving funds like school lunch. I think Patrick, one of them, came up with that idea, which I thought was a good idea. So I said, great, I'm gonna put you in touch with Sarah, which I did do.
Yeah.
Then I also sat in on the budget meeting of the school committee, which I'm also liaison of, and they approved that thing.
To transfer that money to.
To not transfer the money, to use the school
use
lunch
the school
fund
lunch
for
money.
its peanuts, but
Yes, okay.
it
but
was simple, it was
Yeah.
symbolic of two things that I felt were important. One is using revolving funds up for things that work.
Yes,
And two is there was nice cooperation between the two boards,
right,
as facilitated by me,
right,
to say, hey, you can save a little money, right?
okay.
So I'm a little disappointed, I have to say.
So this 475 did not come out
It's
of the.
peanuts, I don't care,
I
but I am I'm gonna publicly say I'm disappointed that they didn't just do it. Like,
Right,
if we can't get along on those little things, how are
yeah,
we gonna get along on the big things, right? That's all I wanna say.
I most wholeheartedly agree.
But if you
But,
say leave it in,
well. It's our budget,
it's your budget, that's correct.
and I think it should be a vote of this board whether it
Sure.
stays in there or not.
Sure, you're the chair.
Is this what you wanna fight about?
No, but I think it should be, I think David is not the only one that's disappointed.
Right, but I mean,
Well, I
I'm
think we
registered.
can
And there
express
should, there
our-
should be
Yeah,
a message sent.
Let's not
Well,
die
we
on
can
this hill.
express that in the
Agree.
minutes
That's my
and the,
point.
you know.
I think
My opinion of what happened is the Board of Health made a decision. They have invested power in their department head and treasurer position, which they created in order to amend the budget. And they were so mad about the other things that they just ignored the fact that this was
Oh.
already discussed.
let's not hypothesize.
No, I'm 100% sure.
Okay, but I mean, I think, again, I'll say publicly, I think there's a lot of fence mending to be done between our board and the Board of Health. I don't wanna get into it tonight, but I have reason to believe there's a lot of fence mending. So picking this fight's probably not
Okay.
helpful. We've said it. I personally, as a liaison, I wanna make it more of a priority in the coming year to do it better.
Are they at the 3%? Are they at 3% with this number?
They were at 4.44%.
See, that's why I'm not happy.
Okay.
I mean, not only are they not at 3%.
Yep.
And they're the ones that are choosing to pick this fight, not us.
Okay, that's fair enough.
And I've forgotten, were there some items on the table to get them down to 3%?
There was a proposal that they use their revolving account in order to defer the increase in costs.
Right.
They added the 475 for food inspection because they don't have the ability to inspect a kitchen.
Yeah.
So we need to add a position in order to inspect the kitchen.
No, but I
Or
just
a
meant in
class
terms
to,
of,
to one of the positions to train them up so that they could do this themselves. I wonder how much that costs.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's probably giving us a once a year inspection. I'm guessing the make buy decision is go outside and pay $475. That's what the lunch fund should be.
I think it's $475. It's not going to move the needle, and that we should have the discussion with them about the budget in the future. I don't think we're going to be able to sit here and get them down to 3%
You're absolutely right.
tonight. So it's kind of like the water's gone under the bridge. I think we just
As Ryan
Yeah.
points out, the
Let it go.
bigger savings would
Let
have
it go
been
and move on and
the use of revolving.
address the relationship thing in the coming year.
I agree with you. Well said,
Okay,
well said.
I think we have to be very careful about who we appoint coming up.
I don't think it's the Board of Health. I think you have a department head making budget decisions. That's what I think.
I think
Okay.
it's not helpful to be having this dialogue at this point.
All right, well, I think we're ready to move on. That's the sense,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
The group, let's move
Yes.
on.
It would not be tolerated in any other department.
No,
Including
I mean, I'm not happy at all, I think, and frankly, the budget is where we have the control.
All right, well,
We
let's-
could
we'll flag this
unilaterally
one for our goals discussion.
Change their budget number at the bottom line. We wouldn't have to change any of the individual ones, but we could, I mean,
It's just a little late in the game.
Bigger
very much.
context of how we want to handle the Board of Health. Break down those silos.
Okay.
All right. Posturing's not helpful. All right.
So the operating budget, so that does not change the high level numbers that were discussed, the 3.1% average tax bill increase or the 3.06% overall operating budget increase.
So can I ask you if you pull up, I presume, as we normally do, that the FinCom chair will give a presentation about the budget, or you will do it?
So the FinCom is creating that now. They will have a public budget hearing on the 17th and create the PowerPoint for town meeting and give the budget presentation.
17th, as in 4/17, will be the hearing.
Yes,
What day of the week is that? It's a Wednesday.
next Wednesday.
Okay, and that's going to be publicized? Whose meeting is that it's going to be
their
done at?
meeting,
FinCom.
their public hearing.
Their meeting, okay, great. And is it Lynn still? She's the
Yes.
outgoing chairman? Yeah, okay. So the thing that's in the packet, that's your explanation of the budget, that's supplementary to whatever would be
Budget.
presented, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So,
it's excellent.
yeah, it was excellent, but if what they're gonna see in the, where are you right now? I don't know.
So I'm just showing, finishing my sentence, that this is the total budget number that would be recommended. You can change that number. And the increase is exactly the same. So those changes, which I want to be transparent about, did not have any high level impact on the budget.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no percentage in the, back to the warrant book.
That's what I was.
There is no actual percentage.
What's our thinking on not putting the percentage change from 24 to 25?
Just
Of the budget?
tradition.
Just tradition?
So Kelly and I created the chart that's been created the last couple of years.
Yeah, but at the very, tradition.
Because I was thinking it would be helpful to see, because if you're if you're somebody that's not really a numbers person, you could just look at, you could be sort of misled, I suppose, by some of the numbers that may look like they're
Where are you talking about putting it?
This,
On the bottom
Just
line.
the bottom line.
bottom, is it there?
Adding,
It's
no.
3.06%, so it ticks
Yeah.
and ties. It would be useful to put it. Maybe she'll do it in her presentation.
Is it in the
Therefore,
summary?
it's moved.
well, there is no
There
summary,
is
so
no
we could
summary.
put
Okay,
a summary.
All right, so I understand what you're saying. So this chart is what you need to actually vote.
Right.
The supplementary materials show all of the data. And we'll pass
Okay.
those out and have them available. So this is how to get the budget voted.
Okay,
But for those whose eyes glaze over at, the details and the mechanisms, they're basically want to know how much did you increase the budget by? And if you say 3 or 3, if we say like we kind of what we're saying with the police station, like our goal was 3 and we got the 3.06, like, okay, and we recommend it.
You're an
so
optimist.
does it make sense to put a little summary then below this chart? That would just say that?
I would.
Yeah.
Is any of this discussed in the budget book? Sorry, I've been,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so-
in great detail.
why do we not then just say, and see the budget book?
Because most people will not
They won't look.
go through all of that.
They'll look if they want to know what the percentage
Yeah.
increase is.
Well,
I think-
yes, I think, let me again say, the objective of the town meeting committee is primarily to increase participation. And the way to increase participation, there are a lot of ideas that are floating around, but one of the biggest ideas is make it accessible make the information accessible, make people interested in participating, which has a lot of pieces to it. I don't want to go into right now. But one of them is when you do the QR code and you get this, you're going to look quickly to see if there's things that interest you. If you have to wade through minutia, you're like, it's too complicated. I got to stay with the kids. I mean, we're trying, I don't know that, but we're trying to make it like, hey, this is like important stuff. It's up front. It's easy. I just feel like this is the good place to put those little summaries.
I think if you're talking about adding percentages, I think that's great. For one line, you're talking about adding one line here to the bottom of that is a
Above represents a 3.06%
yeah.
increase in our budget.
That
In
would
line
be-
with our
That would be a key. That's kind of what we've worked through all
Okay.
this whole 6 months of coming up with the budget. Yeah. Would you put it at the end of the summary or at the end of the?
Just right here at the end of at the budget
The above
graph.
the above
yeah.
total represents
Okay, so it's
an
got
increase
this-
of 3.06% in line with the select board's financial goals for the or something like that. So,
Why is it estimated?
Yeah, the above,
The above,
The above
budgeted?
chart
The above
Budget
budget
presents a
total?
So the chart is to show transparency. It's not required. It's not in the actual warrant. It's just a addition to be transparent. You don't need it. You can take it out.
yeah, but you're voting a budget. You have to have numbers to vote.
In the motion book. The warrant is just an advertisement of what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see, that's why it's still an estimate.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So wait, this is not going in the warrant?
Yes, it is
No,
going in
I'm
the
saying
warrant,
that
but
the actual
but you
motion will have a real number. We reserve the right. It's kind of like the Wayne thing, right? You
It's
can
like with
still
the police
tweak it
department, yeah.
until the day. Yeah.
Which you see
and-
where,
well, they're just gonna give them a URL,
okay.
right?
Where is the thing you wrote going to show up? Is that going to be in the URL?
Yes.
And I've forgotten, did you capitalize budget book on your other ones? Is it a defined term or not? I don't remember. But you could check that. You could check it. I don't know if you wanted it defined or not.
It's a defined.
Is that its title? Town budget book?
Linked here.
Because town normally isn't capitalized.
Oh, town is
Town
capitalized.
Is capitalized? Okay.
That I'm sure of.
Yeah, there you go.
Like state.
I don't think you need to say linked here if you put that.
Yeah, that's fine.
That I think.
We're cutting out fat.
Watch out,
It's
Ryan.
like
All right,
when
move
will-
us along, Ryan. Move
When
us
will the
along.
airlines conclude that
I
everybody knows how to put on a
I move that the select board recommend approval of Article 10.
second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It was unanimous.
Okay, capital equipment. Total of $650,700.
Yeah, so in that one again, and in your presentation, you show there's two things that aren't here. So one is the source of the money, which is different sources, which you had, I guess this one's all free cash actually. So it's not stated that this comes out of free cash, and you have your thing about using free cash. And then the second thing is you have a really nice chart that shows kind of the multi-year capital plan, and there's no context here. So is there, it would be nice if we referred to it or something like that. Because again, this is taken in isolation. What does 650,000 mean compared with what?
And the list of necessary items was vetted by both boards in consultation with town departments and compared to priorities identified in a 5-year plan, which can be found.
So it would be compared with, actually.
Okay.
And are you suggesting that there also be an explanation in the summary about how this gets paid for?
Well, again, now let me go back to a different question. Who is presenting, is Lynn also presenting the capital plan as part of her presentation?
Yes.
Okay. And that presentation precedes the two articles, right? Obviously.
Yes.
comes before it.
Well, wait, in the article, it always shows where the money's coming from. It usually either says by bonding or or free cash.
So
In this
there's-
case, it is,
There's a continuing to, I'm sorry, I don't mean
Sorry.
to be pejorative, but you're continuing to confuse the warrant with the motion book. So
Yes.
the motion book has a lot more detail
Yeah.
with the exact identification. The warrant gives you some wiggle.
So let me ask you a question. When I get my postcard and I take a picture of the QR code, what comes up?
The town meeting website with the warrant.
this,
Yes, right?
this.
Just saying, put the information.
Well,
This doesn't come up. It
Oh,
brings
this-
you to the, so I'll show you. So what shows up is this page.
Yep.
Which will have the warrant and budget book here once approved.
Right.
And then every article has linked documents and presentations.
So go to the budget
It's not done yet.
article.
We're still approving it.
Okay. Well,
Building the plane while flying it.
yeah. I don't know. I don't think most people care about where it gets paid from.
Okay.
It's all town money, and as far as the
Okay.
people that are voting, it's
So-
all their money.
The capital plan will also include a detailed explanation about unspent bond proceeds. So part of the money is tied to the wastewater treatment facility plant with the unspent bond, but the rest of it will be free cash. But if something happens between now and then, you can't change it, or you could change it, but it would be more confusing.
okay. So taking Kate's point under consideration, I guess my recommendation to Lynn, through you to Lynn, would be we should at least, she should use some pieces of what you develop as a framework to walk people through, just basically without, not so much on a numbers basis, but like theoretically what you said. We're using unspent old money to pay for stuff, and we happen to be relatively flush with free cash, and we're rolling free cash into these one-time expenditures. I mean, if people who bother to go one level down from this at least see that or hear it in the presentation.
Well, then they will definitely
they'll
hear it
say,
in
yeah.
the motion, because the motion will be different from the warrant.
All right, fair
So,
I move the select board recommends passage of Article 11.
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Is the hearing will cover CapEx as well then, I presume?
Okay, Article 12 is municipal facilities.
Can I just ask one thing here? Do we, before we keep going through, do we want to take the police station article and move it up to after the, didn't we just,
Oh, yes.
we wanted to move it
That's-
to
that would
right
be my
after we did the
That
budget?
would be the recommendation of the town meeting task force.
Or where,
No,
where do you
because
want it?
this is
For municipal facilities?
because municipal facilities is like the rest of the long-term caps. I think it's related, not,
So
think it's
after
stick-
municipal facilities?
Yeah.
After all the financial
yeah.
items?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I'm losing my.
So
Yes.
will the motion book then go up just a smidge, Ryan? Will the motion book break down the 520 into those buckets?
Because it's a
So-
general amount, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not tied to specific.
It's not tied to a specific thing. So he's made
Appropriate.
So a casual reader will say, well, why is police station there? I thought we're building a new one or rebuilding.
Because if there's an emergency situation at the police station that just due to maintenance, and the MFC does have the authority to fix it and reprioritize this one.
Is MFC giving a presentation for this article?
They can.
I mean, do we want them to? Or is it de minimis? I mean, it's $500,000. I don't know if that's worth somebody standing up and saying what they're working on? Or?
They have in the past. Jerry's done it.
Yeah, this would be the first time when things aren't actually itemized. So
Correct.
They got
Right. Right, it's always been itemized. I don't know that you
It's
need
not
to.
quite true.
But what?
So sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't itemized. So you've,
Yeah.
the town, not you, have gone back and forth.
Yes,
on
we
that.
have.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily have to itemize, but somebody like whoever is leading the charge there could say, Jerry or who's the chair?
Jerry.
Jerry could say, you know, these are the priorities we've considered and we're working on. I guess it's fine.
You know,
It's also in the
I
budget.
think the summary covers it
Okay,
just fine, but
I'm
you,
okay.
I
No,
don't
I
wanna.
don't feel strongly enough. I would want
And
Travis.
if somebody gets up and asks questions, then Jerry could be prepared in the
Yeah.
wings to,
But then,
right, to pull
you know,
up
Yeah,
a
yeah.
there's
list.
maintenance, you know, and
Okay, I'm good.
You need a better title.
Then what?
Municipal facilities.
maintenance.
Ongoing maintenance.
Ongoing maintenance.
Municipal
Projects.
facilities maintenance, or I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I like that.
well, I don't know.
Well,
That's what we're
try that.
trying to say. That
Yeah. Or municipal facility.
I would use the word
maintenance.
management.
Although it
management,
does also
maintenance,
say
repairs,
improvement
I don't know.
projects.
Management.
that could be people though.
Yeah.
Management is like
Well, it's facilities management, but I like maintenance. Maintenance.
Fair enough.
I move the select board recommend approval of Article 12.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right. So 13
New
What are you saying?
is already the fire engine.
Police in now or still?
Oh,
need
oh,
fire?
police
I would
station.
put the police in.
Well, of course,
Police
this
now.
is a big one too. Just not forget 950,000. But okay,
It's a
so we'll do it in
2.9
order of yes,
950.
order of fine. Let's do the police station.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes. So police station.
5 bosses and they're all fighting.
I do want time to read these a little bit because I know you're buzzing through them quickly, and they've
That's
changed a
not
little
13.
bit since the version that I read.
Yes.
More the summaries than the article. Well, I guess the article summary changed.
So this one, we have decided we're taking out the dollar amount, correct?
Yes.
In the article itself.
And I did talk to bond counsel, so vote to appropriate a sum of money.
Or, oh yeah. To pay the cost of designing. Okay.
You don't need a comma.
Yeah, the comma it doesn't need. Good. Okay. All right. It's approved proposed. Okay.
Is it the warrant or is it the town warrant? How was your defined term?
It's all right. This warrant.
It's
Okay.
a town warrant.
Yeah.
book.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know whatever it is.
Town meeting warrants printed.
I don't know what it, I just want to be consistent. It's 2.1 million. The goals is.
Now, why did we put in a small amount? You just wanted to, in the last sentence.
Yeah, add a small
about the
amount of community.
space.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just say we'll add
Yeah.
an additional community space on the first, or is it a shared community training space? Is that what it is? We'll add community, yeah,
Yeah.
because when you say small amount, I don't know, it's kind of,
Yeah.
took it out to me.
Community programming and increasing the amount of community space available to residents. All right.
And then there will be obviously a presentation.
Yes.
By whom?
We are thinking that it would be the police chief, followed by someone to talk financial, followed by the police station renovation committee chair.
Financial in terms of the cost breakdown?
Cost and impact. So
The
why
cost
it's,
impact to the taxpayer as well?
why it's needed, the impact, and then the process and how you feel comfortable with the numbers, et cetera.
Do you want to put a sentence after the very first one where you say 3.1 million to say a new estimate may be provided at town meeting or something like that, or an updated, yeah.
I don't know. Cause we're gonna do that anyway, and I think there, I don't know, it just seems,
Well, just
it's back
alerts
to the
people to the
problem
fact that
of
the
not
number-
being very strong about what we're doing. But I don't know, I guess
it's just that-
transparency.
yeah.
It just explains that the number may
Yeah,
change,
done
that's
based
all.
on the recommendations of the professionals we provided at town meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's
Yeah.
fact.
It's estimated at this point, an updated number.
Looks good to me.
As well, yeah, okay, never mind. Because this number's also based on a professional estimate, but it's okay. But leave it as this, I don't wanna beat it to death. Is there,
I move the select board recommend passage of Article 13.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Yes.
Okay, Article 14 is the fire engine. So we did reach out to get the most current estimate based off a stripped down fire engine from what it could be. More than just like the chassis, but less than, what the fire department would ask for if given unlimited money is $975,000 to be delivered between now and 3 years.
Mm.
So we are estimating this cost.
When do they, if you reach a purchase agreement with the provider, do they freeze the money at that point? You pay them some down payment and they get to work?
That's our understanding, but that was the same understanding we had with the DVW truck, and they told us to sue them.
So they raised it midstream?
Yeah.
So if they said 975, please put 400,000 down, we send them 400,000. They could say later, oops, sorry, we need another 200,000.
So we wouldn't give them a deposit. I mean, we'd give them a much smaller deposit, but we would get that back.
So the answer is it's not frozen. So if it's more than our borrowing, we can make it up like the earlier discussion. We don't necessarily have to go back to the town. We just got to scrounge around the seat cushions and find the money, right?
Is that what that means, or any other amount?
No, I don't think that means it.
That means it's
We appropriate what we appropriate.
means
But if they came back with a bigger bill, we don't have to go to the town for a vote if we have extra money.
Yeah, as long as you have enough extra
It
money.
just gives you the borrowing authority. Any other amount is the motion of the time, right? It's how much you vote that day.
so we could adjust it at town meeting. This one won't adjust.
Okay. So are we in the rules of 9? Like you don't want to say
I
a
wanna
million
understand-
bucks?
Are you understanding what that explanation was about the?
Yeah, it allows the town to pay more if we need to, but it has to come out of the town budget or somewhere else to do it, but the town's only appropriated $975
Of borrowing.
of borrowing.
You only borrow that.
Yeah.
So what that or any other amount allows you to do is change the motion at town meeting.
yeah.
That's all that does. Yeah, I didn't think that had been understood. It does not allow you to look for more money later. That's not what that or any other amount is in there
it
for.
just means you can change it.
It just means that the motion might not say 975.
It also says
It can say
It also
million
says-
five.
shall be raised by borrowing or otherwise. So in the motion it will say borrowing.
Okay, maybe I don't follow this. And I thought the 975, to Wayne's point, if it comes in and the fire truck is $1.5 million, we're out of luck. We can only borrow 975.
Yeah, but you can
Unless we
find
know
free
it.
cash.
Unless we know it before town meeting,
Okay.
in which case that number can be adjusted at town meeting, and that's why that's in there.
Right,
Okay.
that's why that's in there, but we won't know 3 years from now price in 3 weeks.
Okay.
So we,
Well, do we want to use that in the other motion? The chief, the police department motion? Or any of
It says or any
I think,
Did we have it? Okay.
Actually, it's even better. It says it,
We took it out.
we took it out. So here's well,
All right, so I wish Wayne was here, but council disagrees. You can change the number to anything. Moderator says it needs to be within the original tolerance, and it's probably true somewhere in between. So or any other amount allows you to adjust this. So if the police chief came running into town meeting and said it's actually going to be 980,000, we could change that number. Once you vote it though, with the motion, that's it. You can't.
yeah, you freeze
Then
it.
you would have to use the other budget. So a lot of towns with their warrant language keep it very bland. Like we're going to raise money from somewhere for this thing,
Whatever
it's some
it
total,
costs.
and then at the motion book, it's very specific.
Well, so that's why, right, I think Travis, what you're saying is, well, maybe we should take the 975 out of this actual article. It just says, we'll vote to appropriate, a sum to pay the cost of, and then the 975 is in the summary as the current estimate is that this will cost 975,000. I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but is
I'm
that
fine
what you were
with it.
suggesting?
I'm fine with it like that.
This one's not
Okay.
going to change.
It's not gonna.
Okay,
Okay, so let's leave this like this.
all right.
All right?
Go for it, Nathan.
I move that the
Nathan's
select
budget.
board recommend approval of Article 14.
second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Did you say aye, Nathan?
Aye.
Okay, that was,
Okay, so this one is a transfer to capital stabilization. It just says a sum of money from somewhere. It'll likely be
Yeah.
recommended at 300,000 from free cash. Just keeping some flexibility.
right, but, so it,
You have to capitalize town if you're gonna.
this article moves available funds not approved for a specific reason to the town savings account. Called the capitalization.
where? It was in-
And we shall seek to increase,
I don't see it. John.
I don't see the town under summary, the town savings account.
Well, if you're gonna capital.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the O in officials needs to be capitalized though. Seek to increase this saving. So are you gonna make reference to the actual amount of, we don't have to say it, is in the motions book, or you don't have to refer to that? Okay. Is there, now, this is a new thing. Is it gonna need any kind of presentation, or are we just gonna assume if people have questions, you will speak to it?
It would be in the budget presentation, and it is in the budget book.
Okay.
Why don't we point to the budget book in the summary?
Yep.
I agree. God, I hope that book's right.
So I move the select board recommend passage of Article 14.
Second.
Isn't it?
I think we're-
15.
15.
Second.
All those, well, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Okay, the GIS presentation Julie gave you tied to the GIS strategic plan with 3 years worth of costs.
Did you have a? Travis, any?
No, I just wanna read it.
Okay.
I wonder when you say publish GIS strategic plan, do you want to reference how to find that?
It's the next sentence.
Oh, on the town website,
We
oh, okay.
Maybe
It'll
should
be
put
in
the
that
link-
same-
Actually put the links.
Sorry, I haven't read the last sentence.
It's okay. I had that same comment earlier.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
I like that we say it's spearheaded by the town planner, but I would like to say on behalf of the, whatever other departments are gonna be using this. For instance, assessors, DPW, because it,
By the town planner on
Or-
behalf of
many
depart-
town
all
departments
town
that will
departments?
benefit or be using and benefit from this, or something, because I just feel like I don't want it to look like it's only
It's her project.
it's her project.
Well, it's the planning board is saying, but
Well,
planning board's looking to do this and they've delegated it to the town planner.
I'm not sure that they were looking to do it. I think a lot of departments were looking to do it.
Okay. All right, fair enough, fair enough.
And I just want to make sure that that's
Well, what would you
Okay,
add
what would
there
you
then?
put?
well,
Say spearheaded by the town planner on behalf of all town departments?
yeah. Or many of the town departments who will be, whose work will be much more efficient as a result, or whatever. I don't know how you want to put it, but I think it's important for people to understand that it's not just a planning board tool. It's a tool for everybody, and it's going to, including the residents, will be able to get information.
On behalf of multiple town departments.
Should Julie? She's a pretty effective presenter. Should she give a presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but I want it understood in the summary that this is not just planning board, it is
Or do you want to say for use by all town departments?
and residents.
Yeah, it does say that a little later, accessible to staff and the public.
Okay. Okay.
Great.
Right. So do we, this is,
Want
we've already changed the number, okay, good.
Want to make a motion?
Nathan's the motion maker. I'm just the seconder.
I move that select board recommend passage of Article 16.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Cranberry Bog maintenance. This was the removal of this from the operating
Yes.
budget from the Conservation Commission in consultation with the Conservation Commission to not only address deferred maintenance at the bog, but to develop a longer term plan and
Yeah.
budget for that activity.
My only comment on this was that it wasn't very clear as to what the improving and maintaining, but I mentioned it to Ryan and he said that they're gonna do a presentation, and I think that's,
So there'll be a presentation by the conscom or by the bog.
My understanding is the conscom.
they're bringing it. So-
Yeah.
Or me,
No, really?
if they want me to.
Just fucking, what can I say?
What?
The officials, don't have to capitalize the O.
So this is not, is the bog house 10K in this?
No,
That's a different.
This is just to, my understanding is just to get, for them to study, so that it kind of for the next year,
Right.
what
This
we're
is
gonna
as a result of
do,
the people
what
crying
we're gonna
foul
do with
about
the cranberry bog.
that they didn't like that the people
This isn't
didn't
the
like
dam though, this isn't the study for the dam.
This
It's
is
just-
long-term,
Didn't we
This
have
is-
a committee
this
doing
is-
that for the past
This
4 or
is
5
just $16,000 to delay another year.
That's not what this says, though. This
No,
is
it
saying
isn't.
that
This
it's-
is,
This
I
is
don't-
actual work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Travis,
this
it's
is-
not a
Okay,
different.
this isn't a study.
They
Okay.
had more maintenance expenses than they were able to cover in their budget request,
So-
3% budget request.
I had that
And
wrong.
so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so this is,
so,
when they came to us and said, and we had the discussion about moving the maintenance of all our town land into a general maintenance budget for FY '26, this is a stopgap between now
I see.
and
So it's the
'26, and so
Yes.
it's to allow them to catch
Allow
up on the
catch up.
maintenance that hadn't.
And this would not be under the purview of the municipal facilities because it's not a facility.
right,
Right,
It's a thing that the conscom controls.
it's so that we didn't have to increase their budget 50%, or whatever, to over more than the 3%.
But if this gets voted down, they're stuck with, I guess, whatever current money they've got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or they'll have to come
I
back.
think it makes sense to do exactly what we're doing here.
Yeah, no, it's
People
it's
talk
deferred
about it.
maintenance, and I agree.
You do? Good. All right.
So, then let's make our motion.
I move the select board recommend passage of Article 17.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we're at 18.
How many are there?
That's it. This is the last
This
one.
is the last one?
Yay.
But it's 5 and 1, so it's
Yeah.
a trick.
5 for the price of 1.
Okay, so the difference between, do you want to do this or you want
You can go for it, sure.
the difference between Article 18 and the CPA consent agenda, which I'll explain, is as detailed below in numerals 1 through 5. So this allows the town meeting to vote the entire recommendation slate, so all 5 CPA recommendations. But like a consent agenda, if someone wants to hold one of them, they can, and Wayne's gonna give them a chance to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like the consent agenda in that if there's no holds, you can vote it all at once. But if people wanna talk about each one or hold each one, then they can. And there will be a presentation about all of them prior to that vote.
Right. Good.
So everybody will know what they're voting.
And the reason it came up was Wayne gave me a call actually last week and said, and I think coming out of the study committee, with the idea of trying to speed up town meeting, to think about whether we wanted to try this approach to the CPA recommendations this time around. And we talked about it at the CPC meeting last night, and people thought it was a good idea. And there are 4 CPA grants being recommended by the CPC, and as Ryan said, they'll be presented. There'll be a presentation on each of the 4, and then Wayne would go through. If anybody wants to hold it out to have more discussion on it, great, and if not, whatever stays in this consent group would get voted on in a bundle.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Does that sound okay, Nathan? Because you were the one that had a question about it before.
So that would mean that we would need to make our vote of recommendation of supporting at the consent agenda line,
No,
like we did with the others.
You would be recommending or not the slate.
So basically, you're recommending all 4 or none of them, right? You vote for
Right.
it, you're voting for all 4. Or if you vote against, right? The consent agenda, it votes against all 4.
So not to be more transparent, the 5 things are the annual appropriations and a couple of things here. This 30,000 includes a administrative amount to conduct some study at the Bog House for affordable housing. So that's increased from most years, just so everyone's aware. E, which is normally we're going to put this much in the undesignated reserve, is not legally necessary nor recommended because it goes there anyway. So all it does is cause Kelly to make a journal entry and then move it.
Oh.
So we vetted it. At her recommendation, we are just not voting that. It does not mean that money's not available or not appropriated. And then you have 2 hydrological studies, one at the Cranberry Bog, which is part of the Great Compromise, as I'm calling it. The Greeno Pond study is for that area, the residents, and the impact of that water flow through the Greeno Pond, and to assess water levels for infrastructure decisions and other things. Remember the Conscom came and asked about boards and that type of thing. That would help with that. Rental assistance for seniors. You got a good presentation from Carol on this. And then the ADA accessible doors. Just to update, I've been working with Stephen in our facilities department and Ben Fields, maintenance director, Mall. we are going to try and fix this as it is, which would be much cheaper using Steven's expertise and working together with Mall. At worst, it's a $60,000 brand new system that needs to be installed, but Steven is pretty confident that he might be able to do it for much less, maybe a third of that, if we can dig into the system. But that's going to be really worked on and decided in the next month or two. So the CPC voted to put the higher amount in here for now.
And then the unspent funds, if there are any, roll back into the general.
Yes.
No, back into the
Community
Back with
housing.
the housing
reserve.
The housing reserve.
Yeah, because that's where it come from.
Yeah, yeah.
you always have to put it back to where
Back
you
where it
ever
came
came from.
I guess, just to touch that third rail, who owns Benfield Farms? Does the town of Carlisle own it, or does Benfield,
Noah.
does Noah own it?
No.
Why are we continuing to spend so much money on Benfield? I don't,
The town does not own the building. We own the land. We lease the land to Noah. Why are we doing this? Yeah, well,
it's.
yeah, it's a good question.
I don't understand why we continue, particularly with the relationship we have. I don't know why we continue to do these onesie-twosie things. I mean, it seems like it's a failed project, right? In long term, this is costing us a whole lot of money. What is the out, right? Like, what is their plan to make it so that they're not dependent upon us anymore? It seems like
There's no incentive for them.
it seems like they just keep coming to us, and we just keep throwing money their way.
Exactly right.
I mean, it's obviously we need to worry about the tenants who are there, but there's something really, really broken here.
Yeah.
And this is just going to bleed us dry. I've touched it.
Well,
No, I agree with you.
we talked about this last night at the CPC meeting, because this is the one article that we have held off, deciding whether or not to recommend till last night. And this question came up. I think there are a number of things to think about here. One is that NOAA is a nonprofit organization that builds affordable housing. And when they did this project for us, their expectation was that it would come in at a certain cost and they would not lose money on the building. And who knows who exactly is at fault around the whole issues with the septic system, but that has been a huge money sink for them. And they, again, I haven't been in the conversations for quite a while, but they don't run much of a profit. And on Benfield, they don't make a profit. They're losing money on Benfield. And so a lot of the maintenance issues that have come up since the septic, just general maintenance of the building, they basically, they aren't taking care of the building.
So
the question is, right.
So then what? Do we just take ownership of
Well,
it? Or,
Ryan,
there has to be a long-term plan.
I don't know whether legally, I know we've had this conversation, what our options are, because I know you've talked about it at the Housing Trust. Are there legal options for us to do anything on?
We have very little leverage.
Yet we still keep giving them money.
Well, what
And we don't have anything
the
from
way
them.
I'm looking at it is, I'm taking care of the town residents that are
Right.
living in it.
But
That's the
only
that's the
blindly,
hard part.
right? It's just blindly, right? We don't have anything from them that's telling them, that I've seen anyway, that's telling them what are their expenses, what are their plans, what is their maintenance plan. Like, we don't have anything from them that,
I can tell you that has been requested.
well, but we still give them
I
money,
understand.
right? We gave them money, $100,000 last year? Whatever it was to repair the septic, we gave them. We just
That was
wrote off several
several years
$100,000 of a loan that we did when we first started this. I think it was actually $450,000. That's in addition to the land. We've given them so much, and I think that it's fair for us to say if we're going to keep bailing you out, we need to know what the plan is. We need to know how are you going to start making money. Otherwise, we shouldn't be doing it this way. Otherwise, we should be putting aside money and just saying, look, every year we're gonna have to give $50,000 to Benfield in order for them to keep it going. I'm not actually suggesting that we do that, but you know, it's a little bit more transparent. It seems to me, and I've had people mention to me or ask me, who owns Benfield? Do we own it, and that's why we're spending the money on it, or does another organization own it? And it is another organization that is just very poorly managing it, right? Yes, it maybe they messed up in the septic, right? Or, you know, it's their septic, it's not ours. And that costs them a lot of money, but they need a plan to bail it out.
I think, yeah, I agree with you, actually, everything you said. The septic, though, since it's on the land we own, and you could make an argument that we should pitch in on the septic.
No,
Because-
I don't
because it
agree
could-
with you at all.
What?
Why? Because it could contaminate the land?
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't.
I'm not saying you have to agree with it, I'm saying you can make an argument for that.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard to say, why do we gotta fix the building that you own? And by the way, didn't it meet ADA? Doesn't everything have to, didn't it meet ADA? Is the rules changed? Why do they need new doors?
They don't need new doors.
So don't say we don't need doors. Like, if you wanna upgrade doors, go upgrade doors.
They won't.
Okay, they won't, but so what?
And the problem is then in the short run, you have a whole group of elderly people that live in the building. Yeah, that
The doors don't work.
the doors don't
Well,
work.
one of the doors works, but it works so well that it knocks them over because the key fob part does not work. So you have to put your key in and turn it, and then the door opens. And if you can't scramble out of the way fast enough,
If you're in a
because the
walker
button
or
that used to
wheelchair.
work it,
So they are, alright, so let me ask you a different question. You sent around something, Ryan, today maybe about the air con and the heating, right? It sounded like they're trying to fix, that came from NOAA, right?
Yeah.
It was very cheery, well, you know, by the way, we're giving you space heaters. Is that them finally billing up to some issue or not?
well, they have to heat the building.
Well, they have to do a lot of things, but, you know, I don't know.
They're not here, so we did discuss capital and maintenance with Benfield, and they claimed that they could not afford to maintain the building at that level of maintenance. So the options is, it felt like the options were, we can either go along with this as it is, or you can take the building back. And I'm definitely speaking.
We're really trying not to take the building
Right,
back.
cause that's their default. Like,
So
here-
I don't think
here are the
this,
keys, right?
this is wildly speculative, but I don't think there's another organization out there that's gonna take this building
Oh,
on.
nobody's gonna do
this. So we're trying to work with NOAA in order to solve what it is a widely known problem. This particular issue is, to me, is an accessibility issue. The residents cannot, it sounds simple, but they're supposed to be able to
Yeah,
key
okay,
into
no, I
their
understand
door
what you're saying.
without putting
The
their
same
stuff
thing,
down.
their own apartment
Yeah,
doors they
they-
can't get into.
So this 60 would also do their own doors?
Yep,
Why is that-
the apartment
why is that not
doors
a
and the
legal
entrance.
I actually got the state to come out and the architectural board and they tested the doors, the outside doors, and they're not too heavy to pull, so they've got the right pressures, but they're not required, you know, they've met the requirements of the architectural board, but the state couldn't make them do anything other than that, than what they did.
It's a tough issue. It's a tough issue because this is what we're elected to do is, you know, I think about it in our master plan, we've got our 5 categories and this is part of caring community. You know,
Absolutely.
and the question is, you know, how much are we gonna allocate to that? And really my you know, aside from us, our board figuring that out, it's also figuring out the equity of, you know, we have a council on aging that in theory has a great handle on the needs of the community. And are we giving disproportionately to this particular thing just because they are in a, you know, living in there? Whereas there may be other seniors or other people in need
their own houses.
that really need help too. And I just don't have a handle on that. And
Right, so if the village court comes to us and asks us for money, are we gonna,
right,
do that? I mean,
exactly.
this is giving money to another organization.
Another organization. It is.
Should we have them in and, you know, I mean, we've talked to them before, but like you say, they don't really seem to have any motivation Either they don't have the wherewithal or they don't have the motivation of
Well,
both.
I think we as a board have to, even if we do a stopgap with this, we have to prioritize this as something we're gonna have to figure out what to do, how to solve this problem.
Have to have the difficult conversation.
Right, but you have that, you put a hold on this and go revisit it next year and they gotta lump along with whatever they got.
Can I just
I
add a
think-
quick variable so that
Yeah.
the funding source for this can only be used for affordable housing. So
Yeah.
I would have much more agreement with the argument if there was another target for affordable housing in town that this money would be taking the place of. So it can only be used for this. It can't be used for the other priorities. Because normally this would be like an ARPA request. You'd be using this for ARPA, but ARPA is dedicated to the larger town priorities. So if there's not another affordable housing target, which there should be based off the master plan, this is the only type of thing you can spend this on.
And so, in the equity argument, small e equity that I think Travis and others articulated is, we went ahead, in Benfield writ large, we went ahead and made affordable senior housing. People moved in with an understanding. So before you add new affordable housing, you gotta at least make sure the affordable housing that you've now created.
And in terms of helping other people who are not living in that building, we are helping them as well. Because if there are people that need mortgage assistance, that comes under the rental assistance thing. So they are, and there's another program actually for people owning their homes for that. Because we haven't gotten AG stuff on the tax thing, but so that's why we gave heating assistance to people who have mortgages, so we're trying, it's not
Providing
just the
support
people
to
at
other-
Benfield who are getting the help.
Yeah.
I just try to put it that way.
Yeah.
They're not the only ones, but they do need this. If we care about our elderly residents, and
I don't
letting,
think that's fair. I don't think that's a fair statement, that just because questioning this, it means that one does not care about elderly citizens.
I'm not saying that it's not,
No, she's
that's
saying
not what
you-
I was saying.
So she's saying the opposite, that we are
we
providing
we provide
care to other seniors in town as well,
The way I
those that
heard
are
it
in
was,
need.
if you don't support this, you don't care about the elderly.
No.
No, that's not what I said. That's not at all.
you on this book, we shoot this stuff.
So I think,
Eats leaves.
What
and
do you
shoots.
think we should do, Nathan? You brought it up. I
It's
mean, do you have
useless.
an opinion as to, do you feel strongly that we should, take a position on this and not support it?
I mean, I guess I feel like we should support this, but something has to change, right? I mean, I would very much oppose another one, anything else, unless there's a different relationship and a better plan and a way that either as a partnership or them alone, we figure out how this building is going to be managed to the benefit of the residents who are there moving forward, rather than waiting for things to break where it gets to this point, right? I think we either need them to step up and say, this is how we're going to do it, or we need them to step up and work with us about, maybe it is a partnership. I'm not really suggesting that, but I mean, there has to be, it's a partnership now. So we should either be part of what the plan is, and so that, we know that everything is working well and people aren't struggling there with a bad situation and having to raise it to our level and then get it through CPA in order to get something fixed, right? I think we need to,
It's broken.
it's broken.
Yeah.
And
Last year,
this is not
along
going
those
to fix
lines-
the problem. This is only going to fix the doors.
But last year you got involved, Ryan, on, I don't know, it was washing machines and trash collection. There was a bunch of little operational issues that you kind of stepped in on, right? And what was the outcome of that? Did Noah step up to it, or we band-aided it, or what?
There's more problems there that they can fix.
Yeah.
but the stuff that we have highlighted, they have worked to address.
They being no one.
It's not
Yes.
to everyone's liking in that building, but to have mitigated the complaints.
Is there a manager of the,
There is.
and is that person on full time there?
No,
Got other things to do.
he's got
Well, it's
200
too
other
small,
buildings.
that's too small to have a
And
single
they
manager.
have a roaming staff of people that go, maintenance people, custodians, whatever that come and do things.
Yes.
And they plow their own driveway and all that shit. Does that all get done?
Yeah,
They do plow.
they plow, yes.
And are these people paying below market rent?
Yeah, yes and yes.
Not all of them though, right?
Not all of them.
It's only,
And
it's not fully affordable housing.
it's unfortunate that it's a lousy program because it's not like Village Court where you only pay 30% of whatever your income is. It's based on the income, qualification is based on the income you're making when you get in there. And then if your income goes down, the rent continues to go up.
Have any
As, you know,
people left over time saying, I can't afford it?
yes,
I don't like it. I'm leaving,"
yes,
Which they can do. And then they rent it to other people who have to qualify. To
yeah. And we are giving rental subsidies to a majority of the tenants,
We, the town.
the town.
Through the rental assistance.
Through the rental assistance program.
ARPA funding.
None to Village Court because the way the price structure is, but
How is Village Court able to afford it then? And these guys can't. Who manages Village Court?
It's completely
It's-
different.
it was because the way it was financed to be built that it got a different kind of program.
Federal subsidy, yeah.
Okay, so it's getting
federal-
other money. These guys just.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I mean, how much of this is no incompetence versus a poorly structured economic?
Well, a lot of it is the poorly structured economic.
So we got.
Because they have affordable housing in the Boston area that is working well, that, you know,
Yeah.
they can,
So it's not like they're just
managing well.
fools.
Yeah, this was an unusual
Usually
project
they're
for them to take on out here.
So
Yeah.
here's a question, maybe a compromise. If Stephen B thinks he can do it for $30K or whatever, why don't we appropriate $30K?
Because he hasn't touched it yet. So we don't know that that's true.
Okay, but then they can't, they come back, we try, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
for me,
they-
it's not the amount. For me, it's more
It's
the plan. It's the plan.
And I agree with
Right,
you.
but it
And
sounds
if I
like, yeah.
could wrestle it out of them,
Well,
I
yeah,
would get it. In the meantime, we have residents that are really struggling with
Right.
these, and there's a lot of other things that need to get done, but we're not proposing.
right.
The housing trust is not proposing to address them because it's not at the same level as
well, and
being
that's,
able to get into your own GD apartment.
right, and that's the problem right there, right? That the problem is we need a plan from them, right? And I think that the statement is, we're not gonna give you any more unless we get a plan. You need to partner with us. Let's sit down.
Okay, so what are we gonna do here, guys?
Just the staff effort and the because I do agree with you. The staff effort and the advocacy. So we have requested state level ARPA. We have met with all of the elected officials in the area. We have met with NOAA maybe a dozen times. We have tried to. The Office of Disability came and reviewed whether or not they were in ADA compliance. Like there has been a lot of pressure and no result. So it's not.
Can't believe
I'm not sure it's
we blood from the stone. They're just,
That's what
I
it
mean,
is.
but anyway,
Yeah,
all
a
right,
lot of
so-
effort, the point is a lot of effort has gone into trying to
And
make
we
this
can try to
work
do it
without
again, but
success.
for now, it seems like we should just swallow hard. Vote it in, and as Nathan suggests, make an objective maybe for next year to work harder on
And maybe this goes on one of our goals.
sharing community.
I think it does. I would advocate for that.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the Greeno Pond.
Greeno Dam.
Greeno Dam.
Greeno
Pond.
Pond.
Didn't we just spend a ton of money redoing the dam and everything? What's the
Point Greeno.
what's the benefit of doing this study?
Some people say there's too much or too little water going.
Yeah,
It's the water level.
it's the water level
The dam
question,
works
trying to
perfectly.
understand,
Where's the dial set?
yeah, what
Wasn't
is,
that all designed at the time?
Brian will give you this.
Yes, but there's a disagreement over how it's impacting the surrounding areas, to include the Maple Street Bridge area, and where that's coming from. So the worry is setting the pond levels and how that impacts people upstream and downstream, and I'm not sure that it's solvable with just what we've been using, which is measuring sticks, etc. So this study would give us answers.
Do you know that Paul Simon song? One man's ceiling is another man's floor.
Okay, and then the cranberry bog one? I'm sorry, I wasn't here that night that you went
It's
through.
the same question there, except it also includes a review of the proposed dam repair design, which was the issue that created the
Remember the
conflict
citizens
between the
came
neighbors
to
and the conscom. So their hydrologic study, which is why it's a higher cost, includes looking at the dam number 1 and then the Fisk Street Dike Dam, and also looking at the design, the proposed repair for dam number 1, which was the big sticking point for the residents. So the conscom has agreed not to move ahead with the current plan and instead have this
Third party.
study done by,
And what did you say was included in the administrative expenses of D?
Oh, 30,000.
So 10,000 for typical admin, which is personnel assistance. There's a association membership fee that's included in that, and then about 20,000 for a study of the bog house. So
Why is that not an article?
because you don't the CPC can investigate its own future. So it's looking at whether or not further investments in the bog house in terms of affordable housing is appropriate or not.
so you can't do a community housing grant and for a study like this. You need to you can use administrative funds to figure out whether there is a project that is feasible to do on the bog house to create housing. And then once you know that, if there is a project, then that project could be considered for CPA funds as a regular grant request.
Is that going to be called out as part of that
Presentation
presentation?
at the request of the CPC chair. So the point of this is the select board is looking for solutions at the bog house, so is the conscom, because of the way it could go back and forth. And Julie and I do believe that this is the first gate. So completing the study will give you a path forward or not.
And it's specifically just affordable housing, or are there project uses for the cranberry bog?
The only one we're investigating is affordable housing at this point.
Couldn't be an income generator to then use the income from that to pay for Benfield.
Yeah, we're so good at doing affordable housing.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that I agree.
Yeah, it may be a meeting that you weren't here. Nathan, I don't know if you had a chance to see the presentation that Julie made about the bog house with the different elements that were going to be, what would you call it? The things that would be studied, the scope, basically, looking at 3 different aspects of what you might be able to do with the log house. Anyway, it's a very thorough presentation that I'm sure you can get a copy from her if you want to take a closer look at it.
It will be on the website.
Yeah, it was in the minutes. I must have not been here. Was it the same night as the CPC?
I actually think she did that at a
No,
different
she
time.
did it earlier.
Yeah.
It was a prior meeting.
The conscom is here. I don't remember if you were at that meeting.
I missed 3.
So do we want to take these one at a time or take them as a group as if they were part of a consent agenda in terms of our own recommendation?
well, right now, I guess let's put it this way: if we don't approve them as a
Right, then we've seen, right.
It consent agenda, this whole thing should go on as a consent agenda.
We should approve.
Right.
You know, you have typos in all your parenthetic, that was the, right.
Yeah, and then extra zero. Sorry.
I was going to suggest that maybe Barney, you being our local grammar expert, maybe have a read through of this for clerical and other.
Oh, yeah, I think I did.
Okay, you did.
That might have been my fault though, when maybe I cut and paste and sent it.
After each credits. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
do we want this to go as a consent agenda, or do we want to take them one at a time?
I think you should try for consent agenda.
Yeah, I do too.
I hear two consent agendas.
To your small D agenda. I think that we've had enough discussion on each one, and this is coming at the end of the meeting. And I guess you're right. You're trying to speed things up, but maybe, people have more questions on this. Individual things. Well, maybe not, but there will be a presentation up front that will address each of the items. Okay.
And then Rain will ask if anybody wants to hold one out of the consent agenda for further discussion.
I guess
we do it as a
So you
consent.
can do it.
okay. I'm trying to, I think it's worthwhile. Yeah, and this is just me speaking, but it's worthwhile pushing the envelope a little bit to see where people's appetite. I know there are people who love to come to town meeting and ask lots of questions. I know that. There's another group of people that doesn't go to town meeting because those people ask. But maybe we got to kind of nut that out a little bit if we're going to get meaningful change to our composition. Okay. So then I would support that.
Hey, Nathan?
I think that's fine. I don't know. The recommendation from the select board would be that we approve or not that we don't approve. It's not kind of say unanimous, right? Because I don't approve. Well, then we should take it. That's true. Then I think it deserves separation. If we're not, I'm fine. I'm fine with it just being one because I don't know that there's only one that I really wholeheartedly support, and that's the senior. Right. If we were voting on that individually, you would vote not to. No, I would vote to support. It would. Okay. So that one I would vote to support. Okay. Is there another way you would vote not to? You would not vote to support or vote not to support? Yes, but I'm a little bit caught here, right? I'm trying to be really super fair. Yeah. Where I was not here for the presentation, and so on the surface of it, I don't support them. But I wasn't here, so I think it's better if I just recuse myself. Because I don't want this to go up or down based upon what I know, which is not, I don't think, sufficient for me to make the right decision. So it's not that you're against a specific thing. You'd say you don't have enough information. My gut is against it, but I don't have the information to really know. And I wasn't here, and so that's not fair to the whole process. The Greeno one, it's the green, the two bog ones and the
pond and bog.
Yeah,
the Benfield.
And the Benfield. Those three, I just had so many questions out, but I don't want to slow the whole thing down. Okay. That's my vote isn't going to, I understand. I just make or break it. But I don't feel like I know it well enough that I can say, yes, town, we should do this. But I probably will after the presentations at your town meeting night.
Yeah. We can't guarantee that.
I mean, at least
you can always vote your conscience as a resident.
I will be voting
at that point.
Right.
So,
So that's why I'm saying if you want to do it as a consent, if we get your resident before the election, you're still a board member till when?
Yeah, but if we also we all
votes as an individual.
Yeah.
We all vote as individuals, so
Not a citizen, but I mean,
yes.
All right. Well, so
Okay.
how about, should we try this out then? A motion that we offer these CPA recommendations as a consent agenda?
Yes.
And with the recommendation of passage by the select board?
Well, why don't you split it?
Or you want to do the consent agenda first?
Yeah. Get over it as an consent agenda.
I would move that we handle Article 19, the CPA recommendations as a consent agenda.
It's 18 now. 18.
18. Article 18.
Sorry, Article 18.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was, I think you said aye. That's unanimous then. I just wanted to double check. I don't want to misrepresent. It's hard to see sometimes on the videos. So. Okay.
And so then I would recommend passage. I would recommend that the select board, I move that the select board recommend passage of Article 18. Is that what it is? Of the consent agenda for Article, is it 18? Yes, Article 18.
So we move that they approve, you recommend they approve the consent. We already covered that. Now you recommend that.
Now we just recommend passage of Article.
I don't have to say it's a consent agenda, just recommends passage. Yeah. Okay. I move that the select board recommend passage of Article 18.
Second. So that's approving all of those.
Yes.
Yeah, because you already said it's consent.
We've already said
We've already
that we're going to bundle them.
First we say we bundle and then we approve the bundle them. Now we have to recommend what we want. The bundle.
The bundle as a whole. Okay. So are we finished with questions? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Right.
All those opposed?
It's like to,
Any abstentions?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, one abstention. So that was,
We don't have players.
well, we do in our vote, in the minutes, we will,
In the
minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
I consulted with our accountant and with your approval, I'm going to remove effective immediately after town meeting vote from all of these articles.
Yep.
So the reason being consistency, but also there's at least one bucket where there wouldn't be enough to appropriate after. So the difference is you would not be able to spend this from May 13th to July 1st. I do not think that any would be spent in that time frame.
Okay.
The only real rush one is Russia's relative, the hydrological study, but we can have it out to bid and ready to go for July.
You're authorized, so you can go to the bid. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
We could. And with that language, only shows up faster than that in the CPA. It's only in the CPA language.
Yeah.
So then you have to approve I'll go through the election stuff too, but approve the warrant as a whole. But I would recommend that you do so with allowing me to make
Minor.
editorial.
Yeah.
And then that's where
Yes. Well, first of all, there's a little bit of formatting to be done and stuff.
Clear. I move that the select board approve the warrant for the annual town meeting on May 13th, 2024, allowing for minor changes by the town administrator as necessary.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Good.
Unanimous.
So that includes the election warrant, that vote?
No, I think we have to do a separate one, right?
No.
You should. I mean, just for
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in our packet, there's a separate one.
show you the election warrant. It's just the time it names where the election is.
Yeah.
7 to 8 o'clock. The full gambit.
And I know you put the date in the verbiage, but shouldn't that also be in the bold section?
Yeah, where it says town election.
Yeah. Before
Yeah.
or make it some way.
May 21st. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And then the three warrant, sorry, language. The 3 election ballot questions are exemption from Prop 2.5 for the fire engine, exemption from Prop 2.5 for the police department, and shall Carlisle vote to have its elected town clerk become appointed town clerk? So those are the 3 ballot questions.
Yeah. So should the proposition 2.5 will be capitalized? You know what I mean?
This comes directly from bond. I don't want to touch this one.
Okay.
These are from bond counsel.
He's under to pay. Oh, you should talk when you talk to bond counsel. Give him or her the bacon story, because in order to bake, you just
That could be ye old English too, or however they shot it.
So this just allows you to tax more if you need to in order to accomplish these projects. Does not mean that you will. Just means that you can.
Mm-hmm. Formatting question. Why is question 3 an offset it, whereas 2 as I?
It's not.
Willing to touch that.
Good. Yang and year. Who's the year?
All right, so, do I have you want to make this motion? Yes.
I move to approve the annual town election warrant with ballot questions. The annual town election scheduled for May 21st, 2024 in the Clark Room of Town Hall, 66 Westford Street, Carlisle, Mass. 01741.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
One thing I want to mention on that is the turnout. Moving from a elected town clerk to an appointed town clerk. I had taken kind of the lead on that the last time with the presentation or whatever. I was thinking that it probably makes sense to write an article for the mosquito, but I wanted to have it comes from the vice chair of the select board or something. Is that okay? Like, then I'll just use, and it should go the whole. Can it come from the whole board? It can, but we probably need to have a meeting so that you can review it, because we can't all, unless, could I write it and then receive comments and then just take the comments that I decide and then, no, we can't do that.
Or can't you do it?
April 23rd meeting.
So I could draft it for April 23rd and then circulate it.
Yeah.
You can all look at it.
You can circulate it in the packet.
It's okay. I better get on and I'm away next week. I'll put 23rd. It'll be good. We got it.
Hey, rip through the rest of this and that.
Yeah, 117 is the town TA report, right? But is this from before? This looks like it's a smaller.
Just I spent much more time on the budget and the warrant. So the only thing in the TA report is previously reported items that are coming up in the draft agenda, which includes following. So reserve 15 minutes in case we have to do town meeting budget stuff. You will have one more meeting before town meeting, so that's just administrative. Julie's prepared and I are prepared to discuss the fire station RFQ. Invited the fire chief, and we'll invite anyone else who think relevant. Jim and I have finalized the 2-year road maintenance plan. We'll present that to you as well. I think that's pretty good. We'll have cool pictures. And then 14 Estee Road, just so you know, this is
They want to hook into Bill Ricca.
hook into Bill Ricca. It's been approved by council. And they did address Travis's question, which was, does this create further implications? And it does not. So each one has to be dealt with individually, to include a 40B.
Good. Okay.
I want to go back for a second on the fire station design proposal. Is the chief going to be part of that conversation? Okay. Because I think some questions have come up right about plans for the fire station.
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be good.
Just good to know.
And that is my report.
Okay, thank you.
And
Just pants for the first time in a month.
So you're better.
say it again. Yeah.
Feeling better? Are you feeling better?
Yeah.
Mostly.
And,
You won't have any more flare-ups.
and just on the calendar for our future meetings, I just a reminder to all of us, right, that we're not meeting on the 14th of May after town meeting. We are going to meet the previous Tuesday, May 7th. Did you get that, Nathan? His word? Okay.
8th. 87th. What?
Oh my goodness. What a great timing. How did that happen?
We have to do the minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
March 20th.
Pretty close. March 26th. I move to approve the March 26th, 2024 Select Board meeting minutes as presented or amended.
Second.
Were there any amendments that people want to
Yeah, I
offer?
put a comment in. I just want to talk about it quickly. Is when we have letters that come in or emails. The John Lavery was the specific one. There was a comment above it about, these are asterisks or whatever, and it was unclear to me what was in there. So I had asked that they put the to from, like, so that it looks like an email. So you are publishing what the person sent. So that was a change.
Oh,
It's code that it's, and that's reflected, and that's now reflected in there. But I just,
okay, so it is yeah, that's,
Okay.
yeah,
because I just think that's,
yeah. Gretchen,
So I have a couple questions in the packet on page 133, but it's
okay.
each page it was actually flicking.
It's in the select,
The roll-up packet.
yeah, but what page on the draft, on the minutes, on the minute,
Page 5 of 12.
page 5, thank you.
How do you work?
Well, you said page 133,
Oh,
and that's how I
I should say that,
Okay, so it's how I gotta find it. Sorry.
right, there's page numbers on each one of them.
So page 5 of.
Okay,
So it says in, and that lost it, Benjamin didn't shoot. He talks about the capital. I think it's down. Okay, it's about where the A of draft is. The board and FinCom discussing impact of warrant articles of 3.1% average tax bill. And he said, clarify that all warrant articles except police station rental are included. But it should be the police station rental and the fire truck, right? Fire truck's excluded, that is it not?
So, yes, but the fire truck is assumed based off the FinCom's analysis and our discussions to be rolled into the operating budget based off the held debt capacity. What I was saying is the police station
Is up at top,
not included in that.
but the fire truck is paid for then.
Yes. If we hold the debt.
Clarification. Yeah. And then at the top of the next page, Reed moved the meeting to next agenda item, unspent bond proceeds, citing the desire, FinCom's comments. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. The next one, unspent bonds proceeds appropriation. It's not clear from this that the unspent stuff has to be spent on it's not clear where it goes. I know we talked about it and you have to spend it on something similar, right? We kind of went through that, right? In other words, it doesn't dump out to free cash, right?
So you authorize the payment of indebtedness, specifically the long-term debt line of the town's operating budget.
Here am I looking? So okay.
Yep.
So authorizes the payment of indebtedness. So in other words, is that language that says the unspent money goes back into the?
So we're paying for long-term debt in the line item.
Yeah.
So that would create a overage in that line item, which would then turn to free cash.
Authorize the payment of indebted.
So
payment.
So there's a line item in the budget called long-term debt payment.
Okay.
That's what we pay for our debt.
Okay. So in other words, what this little paragraph is saying is you take the excess and you pay down other debt. That's kind of what that means.
Yes.
Barney, this is highlighted because I guess Gretchen didn't know who it was that seconded it.
I honestly don't remember.
That's what I told her. I said, he said, unless somebody else says, hey, why'd you put her as the seconder? Because I seconded it, that we should just leave it as it was because I didn't think anybody would remember it.
And one other tiny little thing, under the unspent bonds headline,
Yes.
third sentence down, third line down, first word says statue instead
Of statute.
So just put a T in there.
Statute.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Got it, Gretchen.
Sorry.
All right. So
All right. So,
on the table.
yes, as amended. So, and we have a second, right? Any further amendments or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Great job, Gretchen.
Yeah. Because these were tough minutes. So.
They're tough. Yep. Okay. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done.
So, any liaison reports?
I kind of gave mine.
You gave yours. Anybody else? Any community input? There's nobody in the room. Anybody have line?
Luke, sorry, I had to unmute my computer. I do, but it's somebody else. Thought I heard somebody else's voice then.
John?
No? Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Yes, you are freezing.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm tired just listening, so I don't know how you guys feel. I wanted to focus on that last piece from Ryan about the fire station RFQ. I have written a couple of notes to people and looking at the minutes from that you guys just approved from the last meeting. And a lot of my comments and thoughts are in there. Basically, I think it's too soon for an RFQ because we don't have a goal for the fire department, a mission statement for the fire department, and kind of what we want our fire department to be. That sounds kind of silly because you want the fire department to put out fires, but there's a lot of room to maneuver within that description. And I think if we ask Ryan and Julie to go get some architects to design and potentially build a fire station, they're going to bring you back architects in spades. They're going to architect heck out of this thing, but we're not asking them the right question. We're not tasking them appropriately because we don't have a long-term plan for what we want the fire department to be. And if it heads in the wrong direction, it's going to cost us a boatload of money. And we probably won't ever get to where we want to be, but we'll still spend all the money and we'll have all the equipment and we'll have all the infrastructure and it won't be that useful. So I'd really like you guys to think about coming up with a long-range plan for the fire department before you task Ryan and Julie to go hone an RFQ for architectural support. I think there's a lot of questions, a lot of ground to cover before you do that.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Excellent. I don't see anybody else online. Well, wait, can you get me the screen so I can see if there's anybody else online who wants to make any comments?
Christina's still online.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else want to offer community input? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
And move.
I need seconds.
Second.
Good. All those in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you. Thank you.